What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl, Adara. I am Sharif, and as per usual, we're going to wait for everybody to come over, but people are already coming over quicker than I anticipated. The crazy Stitch lady is in the house. So is Big Nimit Patel, and one of the best Premier League managers, Klopp, also in the house. Followed by Pillsbury. We got Vin, we got Roger, we got Ryan, Chris, Ronaldo, we got Cristiano Ronaldo in the house, and we got Benson Yang, we got Juan Padilla, Diet Soda, okay, I can go with that, Hamster, Toilet Brush, Blue Arrow, we got Lethargic, I don't feel lethargic today, David Aft, what is this, a boat? Andrew Chow, we got Dave B, Chelsea Ashley, we got the whole gamut in the house. Adara, good morning, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you?
I'm all right.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to continue our candlestick talk with some continuation patterns, because that is what we are going to do here in the house. Got a coffee with some honey in it. Excited to make some trades. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I already see some triangles on your chart there. So do you want to just take us through that one real quick before we start the lesson?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. So I got into this Tesla short. Now I do realize I want to point out the potentially iffy factors of this short, because I did think about them and they did make me a little squeamish to enter. But basically, I got in at this 212.25, 212.20, 212.25. I'm just sort of checking where I got in here. 212.25. So I got in because I saw this kind of consolidation-y top, right? Like, look how many times you kind of rejected off that area. I was like, I like this area of entry. Then I'm watching the book and I'm seeing, kind of, we're seeing a little bit of pauses here in this area. We seem to be having a hard time going over it. I get into the short, we go up about 10 cents, and then we come right back down and we hold it. And I'm like, I like this area of interest. I'm getting out here at that 211.50 with the rest of the position, and I say that because that's going to be right up before we had that big swoop to the downside, that consolidation area, and I would like to get ahead of that, because I know we've talked about this sometimes with these mega caps, you have to get out a little bit before you hit the resistance or the support, because you don't really know if you're going to get that exact fill, but we are a couple seconds away, and I'm getting excited for the beak to be wet and for me to exit the trade. Did get the first part of the position out at 212, so it was about a 25% winner here only for that first peak wetter. I say that because I noticed we could hit 212 really well. That was also from whence we had that big drop earlier, so that was what I liked. Also, I have to address this poll here. Very important question. Beard, no beard, or half and half? Is that like what we think it is?
I don't know. I feel like a coffee or something. Half and half? What's going on? No, it's what people, what is it? Yeah, I'm assuming half and half is like kind of a stubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yours. Yeah, exactly. Guys,
she meant like
I'm listening to the Katina man right now. He's like, he wants to reword the poll. Guys, I'm just lazy, and hence, therefore, I did not shave, but I don't plan on growing it back out. It's a lot of work, let me tell you. Like, I'm Middle Eastern, so my hair, you know, it's wild.
You've spoken about the Egyptian hair before.
Yes,
yeah.
It doesn't have an identity, doesn't know whether it wants to be straight, wavy, curly, what it wants to be. That also applies to my beard, so a lot of grooming is required, and I don't have the patience. I'm getting old. Adara, let's talk about this Nvidia trade that I took real quick, and then we're going to start the lesson. So, Nvidia, the rocket ship, known as Nvidia, $20 off the bottom today, breaking 600 in the pre like it didn't even matter. 3.25 to the good right now. It did find some resistance at that $10 level at 620. Hence, we got in short here once it started showing us the frowny face and the curl down, but it was not to be long-lived, as the bulls are obviously in control of this name today, and back up to the high side we go, flirting with 619 again, but on our way down, we were able to wet our beak for a couple of profit takers here. We took 617 and 2/3 short, and we were able to get bottom wick there, albeit very transient bottom wick, 615 and 1/3. And then we're done the trade. We are no longer involved in it now. But if this comes down and breaks that 615 on a closing basis, that will be a lower high and a lower low, and so we could possibly be in the position for a nice little retracement here. I'm talking about Nvidia, and I'm talking about this possible double top here, but I am not, gonna guess whether this is gonna double top or not. I'm gonna definitely need confirmation. Keep your eye out too as well for that 612 level. That's where VWAP is hovering at. So if you're gonna take that 615 break, you may wanna wet your beak and de-risk in front of and by in front of, I mean above the price where VWAP is at right now. And on my chart, Adara, VWAP's hanging out at that 612 and a third. So that is the case there. We'll have to wait and see what Nvidia does the rest of the day. Now, with respect to today's lesson, we are talking about continuation patterns, okay? So we've been talking about, the first day we did this, we talked about bullish reversal patterns. Yesterday, we talked about bearish reversal patterns, and today we're talking about candles of indecision, continuation patterns. So it shows maybe, oh, we start trending up or trending down, but it is not to be. It is market equilibrium. So we'll talk a little bit about that today and show you some candlesticks that reflect that. So if a candlestick pattern doesn't indicate a change in the market direction, like the two different types of patterns we talked about the last couple of days, it is what is known as a continuation pattern. These can help traders to identify a period of what we call a period of rest in the market, when the market's taking a breather, where the market is in an indecision, is in a period of indecision, I should say, or there is neutral price movement. So the first type of candlestick pattern we're going to talk about is the Doji, not Doge the coin, but the Doji pattern. And we mentioned these ones a little bit yesterday because they were included in some of the bullish continuation and bullish reversal and bearish reversal patterns. We talked about the characteristics of a Doji. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about them. So when a market's open and closing price are almost at the same level, the candlestick that results will resemble a cross or a plus sign of sorts, and traders should look out for a non or short existent body with wicks of varying lengths. So the characteristics of a Doji versus what's coming after it, which is the spinning top, we'll talk about that in a second, is that the Doji body, the body of the Doji has to be small relative to its wicks, but the wicks don't have to be equidistant. So the top wick can be longer than the bottom one can be longer than the top. They can be of varying lengths, okay? The Doji pattern conveys a struggle between buyers and sellers that results in no net gain for either side. Alone, a Doji is a neutral signal, but it can be found in reversal patterns like I just mentioned, such as the bullish morning star pattern that we talked about on Monday, or yesterday, the bearish evening star pattern. You will find Dojis in those, but with those, you are adding other candles to the analysis. They're not in isolation. Today, we're looking at them in isolation. So anything to ask or comment about?
Yeah, I guess so. Basically, with these continuation patterns, it's much like the continuation patterns in the chart patterns, where it can go whatever direction it's going to. It was heading already.
So
yeah, sorry, I need to word that better.
Yeah, you're right. Because there's continuation patterns and reversal patterns.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So it would be like, you know how the bear flag or the bull flag is continuation. This would be okay.
Bang.
Perfect. Yeah.
Bang.
Cool.
I was just about to put you on the spot too. I was like, Adara, remind me of a chart pattern that's a continuation pattern, but you just dropped a couple there, so you're good to go. The next on the list, Adara, is what we call a spinning top, and the spinning top looks awfully similar to a Doji, to the Doji pattern. However, there are some differences. We're going to talk about that. Let's look here at the spinning top. And this is the diagram of the spinning top. Here, the wicks on the top and bottom are equidistant, or should be as equidistant as, you know, I don't want to say as humanly possible or as measurably possible, but you should be able to glance at it and say, okay, the top wick looks as about long as the bottom wick. So the spinning top has a short body, similar to the Doji, between between wicks of equal length. Okay, so it's a small-bodied candle sandwiched in between wicks of equal length from the top and the bottom side. The pattern indicates indecision in the market, resulting in no meaningful change in price. The bulls sent the price higher, the bears pulled it down again. And so you got that tug of war between buyers and sellers that Adara and I talk so often about. Spinning tops are often interpreted as periods of consolidation, or you can call them periods of rest as well, following either a significant uptrend or a downtrend. Okay, so it's the market taking a bit of a breather there, and a momentary, it doesn't have to be momentary, but it could be momentary level of equilibrium between buyers and sellers reflected there on the candle. On its own, the spinning top is a relatively benign signal, but they can be interpreted as a sign of things to come, as it signifies that the current market pressure is losing control. So it really depends on the pattern that precedes it. So if the Doji pattern that you found was manifested after a prolonged downtrend, we could start hypothesizing or theorizing that the downtrend is losing steam and that buyers are starting to gain more of a footing in the market and maybe overwhelming sellers eventually, but not currently at the moment. So it is the market taking its breath. It's a moment of rest. And really the only difference again here, Adara, is the fact that the spinning top has equidistant wicks, whereas the Doji can have wicks of varying lengths.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's basically like we have some movement up, some movement down. We have this little teeny tiny body. So this is really, I guess this candle must be kind of rare to find in the wild, right? If you do read the wicks of equal distance. Or,
can you say that one more time?
I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like these seem like they could be a little bit rarer, right? Because you do kind of need those
equidistant ones. Yeah. Obviously, if you're looking for something symmetrical in nature, it's hard to find symmetry, right? So definitely it will be fewer than say a Doji candle.
Okay, but they have the same kind of meaning as a Doji.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like the fact that they're called spinning tops because, like, have you ever played with a spinning top as a
kid?
It
looks like the like the Inception thing, like the spinning top. Yeah. I like it.
All right, guys, next. And I didn't make up these names, okay? So I don't want any grief from you guys in the chat about these names. Falling three methods, okay? That's what these are called. Falling three methods. The three method formation patterns are used to predict the continuation of a current trend, be it bullish or bearish, it does not matter. The bearish pattern is the one that we're talking about here because it is found in a downtrend. The bearish pattern is called the falling three methods. It is formed of a long red body, you can see that on the left over here, followed by three green small candles making higher highs and higher lows, and then another red body subsequent to the three small green candles, okay? The green candles are all contained within the range of the first red candle and the second red candle. So the three green candles in the middle are sandwiched, not just sandwiched from the left and the right, but sandwiched price action wise. So the entire price action of those three falling candles, three falling method, whatever, is encompassed or ensconced within the price range of the candle on the left, the red candle on the left, and the red candle on the right, okay? And this shows that it shows traders that the bulls do not have enough strength to reverse the downtrend that preceded it. So what you see here is a downtrend followed by a big red candle, and then subsequent to that big red candle, you get three small green candles, all of which are contained within that subsequent candle on the right, which is also a red candle, all right? So that is what we call the falling three methods, and it is a continuation pattern, meaning that if it was a downtrend that preceded it, we're going to continue to move down. The opposite of that is the rising three methods, exactly the opposite of what I described. It's a continuation pattern, but bullish. So the opposite is true for this bullish pattern called the rising three methods. It consists of three short red candles. Hit it, I know. The Katina man's printing over there. Coinbase, short at? He's short Coinbase 124.70, and he's $1.77. Sorry, 124.7. He's $1 in the money. So anybody looking to follow along with the Katina man's trades, he is now participating in that coin short. So to continue, it consists of three short red candles sandwiched within a range of two long green candles. So it's the trend that precedes it, Adara, is an uptrend, and then we get a big green candle, and then encompassed within the price range of that big green candle is three small red candles, and then what's after those three small red candles is, you guessed it, another big green candle. And this pattern shows that despite some selling pressure there, as evidenced by the three red candles, buyers are retaining control of the market and the continuation up we'll continue. Sorry, a little bit.
Yeah,
there. You know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. So yeah, basically just keeping an eye on these if you see them to kind of get a sense of where the market could be continuing to go, right?
Yep.
So I guess like if you're like on day 2 and you're like, this also looks suspiciously small and still within that green candle or red candle if you're bearish or bullish respectively, then you can kind of keep an eye on it. And then when you see that third candle, depending on what that one does, then you're like,
And can I tell you something? Like you and I talk about this all the time. I always like to pretend like I'm a continue or a trend trader, right? That's what I say. Right? No, I'm kidding, of course. But you know, I don't like to chase a price action.
No. Yeah.
I don't. And so I'd like a pullback. And so this would be the kind of thing that I'd be looking for. Chile Nightmare, if we're able to put that picture up again. Thank you, Fabian. So if we're in an uptrend, and then we get this 3 rising methods, red candles, this would be interesting for me here to try to weasel my way into the trade without having to chase a price action. So I'm looking here just for myself and my trading style as these 3 falling methods and rising methods are very interesting for me as someone who's a trend trader to be able to figure out how to bamboozle my way into trade. So I'm going to be looking to do a little bit more research on this. So should you guys. I mean, we're giving you the bare bones explanation of what these candlestick patterns are. You know, you got to do your own homework here and figure out where they're more appropriate, how you can incorporate them into your own trading style, et cetera, et cetera. We're just giving you some food for thought, Adara.
Yeah, no, and thank you for putting that into perspective as to in terms of how you use these in your trading, because I think one thing that I try to do, and I've been, you know, people in the chat have mentioned this, and it's something that I'm really cognizant of. I sometimes struggle with buying the dip because I can't tell really when the dip has actually subsided, or sometimes I'll buy and then it's actually a falling knife. So this is something I definitely want to be more cognizant of.
Agree.
And I really appreciate you for putting that into perspective for me in terms of how you use a pattern like this. So thank you to Justin Richardson. Member for 3 months for the super chat here. Can these patterns be used for swings on the daily and intraday?
I know you know the answer to that.
Yeah, so I will answer it.
Yeah.
So to use where the Sharif uses a lot here, these patterns are fractal. And that means you can use it on any time frame. However, they will be sometimes more potent. They'll have a little bit more power. They might be a little bit more effective if you're seeing them on these wider time frames. So that's kind of the same with these chart patterns. Also, because we haven't really talked about this, but I think this would be the same. You know, with chart patterns, it's like if you see, let's say you see a pattern in the 5 minute and then it's confirmed with a different pattern on the 1 hour. Could that be the same with the candlestick? Like let's say you see one bullish pattern on the 5 minute and then a different bullish pattern on the 1 hour?
Even better.
Okay.
So that's what we call multi-time frame confirmation.
There we go.
If you can actually see a bullish pattern or whatever you're looking for, if you're a bear, you're looking for a bearish pattern, on multiple different time frames to confirm your theory, oh wow, go. You know what I mean? That's what you're looking for. Obviously, again, we're always going to say this, it's on the balance of the evidence approach. So if you see multi-time frame confirmation, it looks crispy, it looks good, but some other indicators are yelling the other way, again, it's a balance of the evidence approach. So yeah, hope that helps. Very straightforward lesson today. We're not going to belabor the point, and now we're going to start looking at some trades. So what do you have on your radar while I set up?
I actually just pulled up Disney here, which is great because Mr. Mems just put a comment about Disney, but I originally put up Disney because Rob Marley, great name in the chat here, saying Disney showing a bit of a spitting top on the 15. It looks like this is the spitting top to which you are referring, because we were saying they're a little bit harder to see in the wild, but we pretty much have this here on the at 8:30, so in the pre-market here, this 15-minute candle. Slim little body, pretty much equal distant top and bottom wick here. So nice look here for Disney. And then Mr. Mem saying House of Mouse headed to 94. And I do think this is a really, it looks like we could be kind of headed to 94. The one thing that makes me a little bit nervous here is we do have these lower lows, and we seem to be a little bit stagnant just below that 94. I would agree with you, though, Mr. Memes, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it looks like we are kind of making a move here. I would say that 94.4 area would be interesting. Pre-market consolidation, then we have a bounce, and then we have another little bit of consolidation, and then a big swoop to the downside. So I think I would definitely be keeping an eye on this Disney look for sure. Also in terms of trades I'm watching, I'm looking at Meta. I don't know why Meta has been my new mega cap stock I've been trading these last couple of weeks.
Today.
But yeah, it's been fun to trade. And I have to say, this one is super high in the day. I don't want to short immediately. Level I'm looking at is I want to see what we do with this at 393, 392.60, because I think this could be a bit of a Christmas tree retracement.
I like
So I want to see what we do here. If we continue to run off this 392 60 area, we haven't necessarily made a lower low. We've pretty much just made kind of an equal low here, around just below that 392. So I'm really tempted to go either way, but I need to see what Meta's telling me, what she's whispering at this, or I guess what she's DMing me on Instagram at this 393, 392, 60 area. Because, oh, and as I say this, we're picking up here, right? So
Sliding in your DMs, eh?
She is, yeah. But I don't really know what she's saying. It's kind of hard to tell if this is like, you know, maybe I have to follow to see what the whole message is. You know how sometimes that's the thing. You have to allow the message to be read. But yeah, I think Meta 393, long or short, it's really going to have to depend on what I'm seeing in the book on those levels. And Obi and I have had some conversations sometimes about how you can really see, depending on how some of these names move at the book, kind of what your plan of entry is going to be. And I mean, that's not always going to be the case. You want to look at, as you said, the balance of the evidence.
Yes.
But I think with this chart going either way, it's a name I want to get involved with. I just want to be really careful about how I do so. Also, Tesla, I have to mention Tesla ahead of earnings too. So I have this short. Clearly, I may have let go of the ghost a little bit too early. But I mean, I'm not going to complain. We took some profits here. Thank you.
There used to only be one beak wetter. Now there's two beak wetters.
Thank you. Well, because sometimes I take positions so small that you can literally only wet the beak one time. But there, I was like, you know, I liked this point of entry. I felt emboldened when we did have that really nice hold of that area where I entered. But yeah, I mean, I think the Tesla bounce off that 210.60 area, certainly interesting. We did make a slightly lower low here, and by that I mean we had that low below that 10.8 area, so we're going to have to keep an eye on this. But yeah, like I do think that we haven't really necessarily, the main thing I guess that worries me here about a Tesla long is that slightly lower low and this kind of flattish top here at this 212, because lots of consolidation here. Big swoop down. We're going to have to keep an eye out here. Those are the main things I'm looking at. Mostly that Meta as we actually get right into that 393. What about you?
All right, I've weaseled my way into a futures trade here, and there is reason behind this. Look at this, guys. Number one, we got a bounce into 17.7, and it was bought up immediately. So that's the first thing. That you know how I love these 100-point levels and the wick dance that we do at those 100-point levels. So that's first and foremost. Second, I started looking at what we did, what the IB high was, as well as the pre-market top. I'm not saying the pre-market high. I'm just talking about a local top in the pre-market. And it was 17.7. Look at this ascent over here at 8:30. We top out at 17.691. Then the IB high takes us into 16.695, right? Yes, 95. So we're obviously dancing in front of 17.7 was what I'm talking about. Did I say 16? I meant 17.695. So we're obviously dancing in front of 17.7. Then we clear 17.7 with vigor over here at around 10.15. Don't even look back. We make a top at 17.765, but then lo and behold, we retrace and we hold generally that 17.7. We don't hold it to the T. In fact, the low we got there was 17.688. So I said to myself, all right, starting to curl back up over here. Let's get in when the first 5-minute candle to make a new high printed. We already got our beak wet there at 19s. We're long 09, so we took about 10 points on that bad boy. My next beak wetter, if it materializes, will be at the 29-point area. So we'll see if this one is able to hold. Now, where am I out? Where am I wrong here? So the making of a new low will be the end of this trade for me. That making of a new low comes vis-a-vis a 17.690 break. So if we don't continue to hold the higher low pattern that, you know, I'm anticipating that we hold, that'll be the end. Already de-risked a little bit here, but definitely looking for a move into around that 50-point area. Let's see if we're able to make a move right back up there. The market's been strong. The NQ is up over 1%. And softies pumping to the high side. Meta has been strong. Apple was not that great, but
like that
yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about Apple, Adara, because we've been using pivot points for a while now on AAPL, and today we are basically stuck within the pivots. The low is the pivot point itself. The high is resistance level 1. And that isn't the first day that Apple's been straddled within pivots. Look at yesterday's price action as well. The high right at that resistance level 1. Today you have a double top at resistance level 1. So the more I use these pivots, the more, again, I don't want to rely too heavily on one indicator, but they seem to have their moment in the sun, at least intraday. So we'll have to wait and see whether we have that 195.5 break, 195.5 break, yeah, on AAPL. Hopefully sending this market a little bit higher. But Apple kind of range bound. No new headlines today of importance on Apple. The only one that I really saw that kind of got my attention was the Apple car. Remember that? That got delayed. Let's put it that way. So they're not talking about any sort of production or not even production, but at least what am I looking? The word I'm looking for here, prototype until 2028. So we're gonna have to hold. We're gonna have to hold off for a little on any possible Apple car. Anyway, still involved in this future trade, but looking for a move higher. Let's see what we get. We got Google heading down as well, eh?
Oh my God, Google.
Yeah.
Oh my, Google just fell. Goog fell.
Goog fell. Okay.
Instead of Google, yeah. Kind of interesting that we're dancing around VWAP here. Like we said, VWAP's not always going to be an area of importance, right? I feel like I'm always saying this, but I think this is a really important thing that I learned. It's something you always want to look for, but not something you always want to base a trade around, right? But I mean, Google and VWAP, interesting today. We hug it really well in the pre-market, then we bounce off it right before the pre-market, dance around it, have this really nice push up at 10:05, then we fall back, do a little bit of chop and turn around VWAP, and then just dip below. So I think certainly VWAP and Google having an interesting story to tell here today. Not one that I would necessarily like to buy the book of or the audio book of, because I'm a little bit still concerned as to what it's doing. Yeah, I haven't gotten into a trade yet. I was trying to get involved in Meta, but like this spread here is a little bit hard to read. I'm seeing it's like about 6 pennies, but I do still have that 393.07 here at the top, so a little bit harder to read and get involved in this. I would, like I said, that 392.60, little sad I missed here. I want to see what we do off this 392 area because we had a nice bounce there. Pretty interesting area of interest earlier. I think that VWAP break could also be of interest to me for Meta just because we held it really well earlier today. What else? Nvidia.
I want to remind everybody about the ASML because what Neil put in the chat, we have 2 minutes left until Europe closes. Europe closed at 11:30. ASML obviously up 8.25% today on the North American market. So if there is a fundamental change there in the close in Europe for ASML, it could have some effect on the chips here. So we're watching intently. About 2 minutes left for that, Adair. Just wanted to remind me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for letting us know about that. That's strange. The markets close at like a 30, whenever 30.
I know.
That's interesting.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's the thing over there.
No, I'm not. Go Europe, go sports. But I just wasn't aware that was they closed at that time. Also, so Tesla. James Choi was putting out Tesla. Something here. Did you see that Tesla spike? Yeah, we did have a spike here right off VWAP. Like I said, if I did get long this, I'd only be getting involved to that 212 because 212 on Tesla is a very scary level to me. That's why I got short just above that 212 because that consolidation pre-market and that big move down now twice makes me a little bit nervous. We do still have higher lows though, so I'm considering depending on how we hold this 211, I might get involved in a teeny tiny baby long here, paper trade still as we're getting practiced and getting our feet wet into the markets, and then just take it out to 212. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. Also, Neil putting something in the chat here, thank you very much. Boeing 737 MAX delivery will be the first to China since 2019. Boeing 737 MAX bound for Honolulu this morning. Let's look at Boeing. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I got him in the excited sound. This kind of bottom of Boeing at this 209.50, kind of interesting. We have sort of a double top situation that 212.5, then we go back down, then we have this, again, kind of touched it a third time, then we have this nice push to the upside. Can we top this 215 again? Because that would be another double top of Boeing. I think, too, the support on this is clearly this 212.5, at least for right now. If you want to go longer term support on the day, I do think it's that 209.5. I will keep an eye on this look. Let's see if we can keep getting a nice bounce to the upside with Boeing here. I still like the look of Nvidia. I wish I had gotten involved in that 217 short, and the reason I didn't was because I was a little bit scared. I was like, oh, maybe, yeah, I wanted to wait for another candle of confirmation here because I was about to get involved in this little candle here. We did clearly close to the downside. Basically, what I like about Nvidia here, we're clearly up on the day, but you know, Sharif called it that roundy top. You know,
Yes.
sell the frown. Buy the roundy face. And I do think these lower highs, lower lows, if I were to trend draw it, and I will. But I did not there. There we go.
Yeah, so we're waiting here for anything to happen on ASML. I'm not really seeing anything. Anything new? Yes, thank you. Forgot about that. The print for Europe, the final closing print, anybody knows about closing trades, I'm not going to get into that whole thing right now, is about 5 minutes. So it's about 11:35, so 4 more minutes until we possibly get the last closing print there out of Europe. But Nimit wants me to look at the small cappers today, and I shall oblige. My man Nimit there in the chat, if we can go to the charts. All right, so the one that I've got my eye on, obviously, here has to be EVAX. We were talking about this one this morning. This bad boy moved big in the aftermarket yesterday. It closed out the official closing print $4.97. That is the 4 p.m. print from yesterday. It then proceeded to rocket up into that $9.83. Let's just say 9 3/4. And that was obviously as an earnings winner. Yes, it is. Is it not? EVAX is an earnings winner.
It's a novel cancer thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, here it is. You're right. How do you say Evaxion? Evaxion? Yeah, to develop tailored novel cancer vaccines based upon new untapped source of AI. Yes, we were talking about that this morning with Brendo at the big desk. But anyway, it made the move yesterday in the aftermarket, ended up closing 8 o'clock at that $8 level. Look at that last candle over there. The high is exactly $8. That is a closing print. And then we touched the 200 period here on the 5 in the pre, but that was as low as we could go, and we made a 1361 high. Right now, we are holding above VWAP, okay? So this one, right off the bat, my rule on this one would have been to take the pre-market high, but that's come and gone. Now it's about how do I possibly try to figure out a trade into this. The VWAP dip here to $10 was real good. There's a double bottom there at $10. What's the low there? 10.08 and then 10. Sorry, the low is 10 and 10.01. These two candles, the low is 10 and 10.01. So $10 holds beautifully, and then it makes a move back up into 11 2/3. It's above VWAP right now. I'm not really sure how I feel about this one. Maybe if it comes back into VWAP and shows its intention to stay elevated, then we'll get into it. But it's making a series of lower highs right now, albeit above VWAP. And I do like the double bottom there as well. So we'll have a look at EVAX as the day goes on. The other one that I want to talk about, SPRC. So this one was up how much today? SPRC. No, that's not the one. Yeah, this one is up 53%. SPRC also quite aggressive there. It got going at 7:40 a.m. in the pre. But look, this one hasn't broken its pre-market high and is below VWAP. So this one is on my S list. It's not going to get traded by me until, number one, it goes above VWAP, and number two, it breaks this $7 area. My rule for these small cap gappers, they have to break their pre-market high. You have a double top there at 7, a bearish double top. That's helping propel this one down. So unless, again, it breaks above VWAP and breaks above that $7 area, I will not participate in SPRC. And then this other one, KURA. This one was also strong on the day. What is the news for KURA? I'll find out here.
It's some kind of stock-related money thing.
Oh, yeah?
Which is not specific, but I believe that's what it's something along those lines.
Let's find out here. So Kura Oncology, another cancer headline, Adara. Why is cancer-focused Kura Oncology stock trading higher today? Oh, no, I think it might be. The company agreed to sell 1.3 million shares at $17.25 per share, representing a premium of approximately 29% to the closing price of yesterday. Okay, so that's what we got here. So $17.35. I guess that's the premium, or that's the price. Anything above that is the premium. Again, this one, same thing. It broke the pre-market high. already. It did that around 9:55, got to $21.40. So this one would have been what you would have done well on this one if you're taking the pre-market high. You would have taken about $2 on that because the break of the pre-market high there was at 19.50. It is now below VWAP, so this one's going to have to get above VWAP for me to get interested, but it did fulfill one of my rules, which is the break of that pre-market high. So we'll pack our patience and see if there are any trades today on these small cappers. Back to the future here. Before I send it back to Adara, we're still break even with one beak wetter on this one for a 10-point winner. Let's see how long we can hold 17.7 or if we're going to give up the ghost on this level. I'm looking here at a possible higher low if this low can hold. And then maybe my next beak wetter is at 29s. We'll see how that does.
Was that a pun on purpose? Back to the future? Back to the future?
No, I didn't. I mean it that way, but it's nice when it works.
Right? It's always nice when that works. I just enjoyed that. I wanted to put that out there. Also, sorry, it took about a second to get to this. Corey2S, thank you so much for the super chat. It's a little emoji dude with sunglasses. So thank you very much for your support. Ooh. Always, we're always very grateful here. So let's look at Meta. I have a little order set ready to be filled for a short here at this 392. I'm noticing, I don't think we're going to get it though, because I really wanted to wait for decisive 392.
Okay, Derek, your mic needs adjustment.
Oh,
so Raymond's coming. I'll take over for a sec while you get taken care of over here. So we'll go back to the future. No, kidding, of course. Look, I'm really hoping or anticipating, I hate to use the word hope, for this low to be a higher low, because I think this gives us a bullish signal here for a continuation north on the MNQ. Especially if we can break above this 17.720. For whatever reason, we keep topping out here at that 20-point level. But I think I'm just gonna have to pack my patience on this one. The other trade I wanted to look at possibly is we're getting accumulation on Meta at VWAP. So this is interesting here. For whatever reason, we are finding support at that, let's just say 392 area, give or take. I mean, the wicks are going below 392, but we have a series of lower highs here and a flat bottom accumulating at VWAP on Meta. We're up 1 3/4. So if you're taking this possible, you take it against the trend. The trend is to the high side today, as I said, 1 3/4, but that 392 looks awfully interesting on Meta. It's the fact that it's holding VWAP should give the bulls some sort of confidence that this holds. But just the chart pattern, chart trader, I guess, in me is looking for maybe a flat bottom break after this prolonged downtrend with a 394 break. I can't believe we're almost at $400 on Meta. That's madness. Is this all-time high on Meta? No, it's not, eh? Is it? Because my thing isn't split adjusted. There was 420. The Katina Man's checking. We're going to find out whether this is all-time. We easily crushed all-time high. It was 383, so Meta all-time highs. I mean, and then we're talking now about a 400 accumulation. So we'll have to wait and see how that does. But yeah, that's an interesting look here at Meta with VWAP acting as a bit of a support there. The other one, the Amazonian, shout out to Obi. This one also playing around with the pivots today, finding resistance level 1 as too much of a top, that 158 level. All the closing prints south of 158. I don't care about these wicks. That took us to 158.44. But we are now below VWAP on Amazon. We're up 0.75%, but we're trending down possibly into that 157. The low in the day is 156.48. The Katina Man has reloaded his Coinbase short, baby. So he's still in that bad boy. So anybody who's following along with the Katina Man and his short on Coinbase, he's still in that, and he just reloaded. Adara, you good?
Yeah, I am good. Yeah, thank you for the wait there. I also, as you were talking about that Meta flat bottom break, I got involved in that Meta possible flat bottom break. Like I said, I was just waiting patiently at 392. And while my microphone was getting sorted, thank you as always to Ruben and Fabian, I actually did get into this short. If we make this decisive high above this 392.40, 392.60 area, I'm going to have to say au revoir to Meta. I will have to slide out of its DMs. But I do think, you know, the lower highs we've been getting here, I think it's a nice look. I am just worried, though, that the fact that we haven't broken VWAP yet means it might be a little bit of a long road to drop from there. But like I said, I do think that this kind of 392 area is interesting. I like where I got him. We're going to have to wait and see on this one. Also, I have been eyeing, I think I'm going to be shocking everyone here. I've been looking at Eli Lilly. I like this. I'm going to actually draw why I like this, because I do like this for a reason, and I actually do like it as a short, which might be a skosh counterintuitive. But another potential flat bottom break on the horizon here in these markets today. Lower high, lower high. Really nice flat bottom. Look how long we consolidated around this 634. You know, if I can get involved even around the 630, 650 area, I'm going to probably get my order ready. I realize, you know, we're kind of already on the move down here. I should have probably gotten involved when I saw that VWAP break, because when I first started looking at this seriously for a short, I would only be taking this to that 634 area. But I do sincerely like this as a little teeny tiny baby short. I've been trying to get less involved with Lilly just for kicks. Also, I just noticed she is below a milli, so we're going to have to wait here. But if she continues to have this pattern and gets above a milli, even though she does have a positive catalyst today, this one was trading higher because we had that, trading higher because we did have a price target increase from Wells Fargo to 700. Right. But, you know, we're still moving lower here on the day. Also, Sean bringing up his meta chart here. So I'm going to pull.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that. I didn't add it. Thank you for pulling that up, Adara.
Yeah, so this is, okay, so we had, this is just that kind of look here on Meta, and this was the all-time high, so it looks like it is just below that 400.
V-shaped recovery.
That's a
that is
massive
madness.
Look here.
Is that
Thank you,
the
Sean,
monthly
for sending
chart?
that also.
Katina, man, is that the monthly chart that you sent there?
Yeah.
That's a monthly. Unreal. There's one red candle, Adara. There's one red candle in that monthly chart. Can you show that again?
Yeah, sorry, give me a moment.
Yeah. Because, I mean, unreal. Just like there was a
this is
nary
wild.
A green candle on the way down, there's nary a red candle on the way up for that recovery. So Meta's been an absolute rocket.
V-shaped recovery.
Adara, D. Westermeyer, a good friend of the shows, and thank you very much, my man, for visiting and for your kind gift. I'm still enjoying that honey and those cinnamon things as well. Added some of those on my patented cookie, my treats the other day. But he wants me to look at VIXI. So let's have a look at VIXI. VIXI obviously is a fund. It is to match the short-term S&P 500 VIX. Is it leveraged, or is this leveraged or not? Seeks to investment before tax and expense performance? No. So it's not a leveraged ETF. Okay, so that's fine. The thing about this, D. Westermeyer, is that we just have such a prolonged move down. It's hard for me to honestly find any levels of resistance that I can say, look, that's a clear level. There just isn't. It's so incremental on the way down. I don't feel like I can chart this properly. In addition to that, it's above VWAP, the 50 and the 200 on my 5-minute look. Let's flip to the 15 and see if I can glean anything from the 15. Okay, so moving back a little bit to take us back into the second week of January, I'm going to have to say 1440 or that 14.5. Let's say 14.5 would be an interesting top. We based out there, so obviously a level of support in and around here at 14.5. However, we're at 14.10 right now. So if we were to ascend into 14.5, I would say that that would be an interesting level of resistance, maybe between that 1440, 1450-ish area. Other than that, I see a vacuum of price action, a vacuum of space there between where we're currently trading at 1410 and 1450. I hope that helps, but not much that I can chart there for you. The price action is just two spares. All right, back looking at the futures again, we did pop up and made a little bit of a newer high there through 17.72, but right back down we go on the futures, still holding 17.7 though, so don't want to take out this trade. I've already put my stop through the break of this trough. If we are to make a newer low on the MNQ. That is going to be the end of the trade for me, but just trying to pack my patience and get that beak wetter in the high 20s like we've been waiting. We're sitting here at 29s, but not to be yet. We just made a newer local high there into 23s, but right back down we go. Let's see if we hold 7.
Yeah, sorry, I just got into another short here. We did short Mademoiselle Lilly at that 396.50 area. Oh, did I actually just buy Meta? I think I accidentally just did something to Meta that I did not want to do. Let me check this. Oh, I got out. Okay, so I accidentally, we had another fat finger situation. Got out part of this position here. We still have part of it in here as well. Yeah, thank you for that, the fat finger definition. That's what I did. I keep needing to proofread these trades. Basically, I was trying to set this at I was trying to get part of the position out at 391.50. Looks like I accidentally got part of it out at that right where we were, so that 392. Not a huge loss, but definitely a little bit unfortunate because I keep messing with my ability to have the beak wetters by getting some of them out a little bit too early. Also, yes, we got in this Eli Lilly short at that 396.50. I liked these lower highs. I like this flat bottom, trying to take some profit out at 634. However, I'll be getting kind of nervous depending on what we do around this VWAP, this kind of consolidation area of that 637.50. I'm going to kind of give this about $1.50, that 637.50, 638.
Adara, the Chilean Nightmare just sent me a hilarious meme. This. I think he made this. Fabian, did you make this? Yeah. He made it. I love the Spider-Man meme because it is funny, and like Drake or whoever referenced it in a song not that long ago. So in case you're wondering what you're looking at here, essentially it's a whodunit. It's a game of whodunit. Who is to blame for the shenanigans that are happening at the moment? I see he got Spirit here, but he got Spirit Airlines rather than Spirit Aerosystems. Close, Fabian. Not bad. Spirit Aerosystems used to be owned by Boeing. Boeing spun it off in 2005, hoping that it would help fix some of the production issues. It didn't really change much. But anyway, so it's me pointing at you and you pointing at somebody else. You are to blame for the loose bolts, says Boeing. Alaska's like, no. Spirit, you're to blame. Spirit's like, no. We did it right. Boeing messed it up. So this is a game of whodunit. I love the fact that it is manifested in the Spider-Man meme because we all, well, I like the Spider-Man.
It's universal. It's a meme you can use for pretty much everything.
All right. Guys, we are quite consolidative here above 17.7 on the future. I don't have anything new to add to this trade other than the fact that we are holding 17.7 from the top side. That's really the only saving grace here. I hate to stay in these consolidative markets, but the fact that we are above 17.7 and holding it from the top side gives me some comfort here for this trade going positive. But there isn't much else that I'm seeing right now except a possible 210 hold here on TSLA. This seems to be interesting. So we've been making, you saw Adara in this a little bit earlier. Were you in Tesla?
I was in Tesla.
You were in
Tesla.
We
took the Cybertruck for a ride to the
I'm not losing my mind then.
No, you are not.
All right, so that 209.14 is the previous day's closing price, and it's exactly where we troughed out at. Don't forget about this wick. Who cares about the wick? Look at the closing price on the 5. It's right at yesterday's closing print at 209, so that support level holds. However, we haven't made a newer high. Right, we made a higher low vis-a-vis this 210 hold here on TSLA, but to really get going here, we need that 212.5 break. Now, Tesla might be muted or it might be range bound as a result of it reporting after the bell today. We're reporting earnings for Tesla, and I gotta tell you, I mean, it's been kind of hard to predict because some of their monthly deliveries come in above expectations. Their China deliveries last time around were not bad either. But you just really never know, especially after what Elon Musk said on the previous call, which was interest rates are hurting demand for his cars as lease rates now like 7-8%. I don't know about in the States, but they certainly are in Canada for a lot of the models that are in demand. All right, back to the futures here as we go into 25s and 26. I think we got a pop there into 28.5. Come on, I was waiting at 29s. That's frustrating, but we did make a newer high, so now higher lows, higher highs for this kind of sideways up, let's call it an uptrending channel. For maybe, look, I'm aiming for 17.750. That's where I plan on de-risking the majority of the position, but we're going to have to wet our beak on at 29s before we can start looking at 50s. And here we go again, 26s, 27s. We'll see if we can get that 29 print, hopefully sooner rather than later. Adara, how goes your trade?
The meta trade was unfortunate, but I'll get to that in a moment. I want to talk first about Eli Lilly. I do feel a little bit emboldened. I keep accidentally saying hopeful. Hopeful's not the word I mean. What I mean is like the trade's still valid, right? Yeah. But basically, I did kind of like, we had this spike up to that 637 and then that little wick. So it shows that we do have a little bit of sellers overpowering buyers. But like we said, these candlesticks are always a little bit hard to read. Basically, though, unless we kind of, like I said, I want to see that a decisive 638 take, then I'm going to go to this trade. Right now, we're just kind of, you know, sitting on the lily pad, floating here, hopefully to the downside. Profit takers planned around this 630, 450, and then around that, just below that 634, just areas of consolidation. Basically, I like the lower highs. I like that this area and how we keep gravitating towards this area of 634. I might have gotten in a little bit too early. I think that might be my issue here. Should have probably gotten in when I first noticed this spinning top little candle here, this Doji. I guess this, which is that kind of that shooting star, like a bit of a reversal signal here. And I should have gotten in the second I saw that, but instead I was a little bit scared because we were so up on the day. Alas, though, you know, as Sean says, a scared trader is a deficient trader. And maybe that was a bit of a deficiency here, but I still like this trade. The trade is still valid, to quote Sharif. Now we need to talk about Meta, because I cannot put it off. Not that I've been trying to put it off. I was really excited about that Lilly trade. But yeah, Meta here, basically, I should have known, you know, and part of why I stayed in this, this part I accidentally fat-fingered out, but part of why I stayed in this is because I was like, yesterday I got over to trade too early, even though it was still valid, because I was like, oh, you know, I was getting a little bit bored in the trade, and I was like, oh, I want more action. It was a bad decision, right? I'm trying to learn from that, which is why I stayed in this, even though I kind of noticed, hey, well, we're kind of forming a bottom here. What if we bounce up? We did bounce up. I did get out of the trade basically where I wanted to when we made that new higher high at that 392.60. Big thing, we talked about this yesterday too, just trying not to be too hard on myself on these trades. Yes, because as always says, where's the next trade? You know what I mean? And I think it's easy to get kind of down on yourself. And I feel like when you get in that mood, at least I don't want to speak for everyone, but for myself, then it's kind of, you know, you kind of get focused on how that didn't go well. When really it's like, you know, there are other trades out there, right? Just look for the next trade, look for the next opportunity. Tesla, as Joanna Brewster pointing out here in the chat, Tesla, that 210 bounce has certainly been beautiful. I'm eyeing this 211.40 area that we're kind of getting into because look, we had that move down earlier, some consolidation over here. That was initially my plan for my second beak wetter, and then I was looking at the book and I got out a little bit earlier here. But I do think 211.40 is interesting. I think that 210, 211, and a little bit of change-ish range, certainly interesting for Tesla, as you were pointing out, Tesla range earlier. But yeah, we're gonna have to see what this Cybertruck will bring heading into the rest of the day, and especially heading into earnings. Also Meta 393 break. I'm probably gonna stay away from this one for now, just because it's a little, this flat bottom break should have come to fruition, or not maybe should have, but it looked like it could have, and it didn't. I'm going to focus on that Eli Lilly trade, and also Apple making kind of a nice move here off VWAP. Continuously higher highs, higher lows. I think you called it with Apple being an interesting move potentially to the upside here, buoying the NQ. So our favorite word to say here.
What?
So we're buoy.
Buoy,
yeah,
or boy,
I said it
if you're
there.
British.
Boy.
Remember we did this whole thing last time? Yeah,
we
got confirmed by some of the Brits in the chat who did confirm that it is pronounced boy. Not that I needed confirmation because dictionary.com already told me. No.
There we go.
You can't believe you just made me do that. Daryl, we're absolutely printing here on the future as we head to the high side. I'm looking for 17,750. Some dude in the chat was like, is he going long 17,750? That's what the position for is there, bruh. The position board is right there for you to see where I'm long or where I am short. And we are going to de-risk the majority of the position if we are to make it up into that 48 area. 17,748 is where I'm sitting for that next beak wetter. And then the last contract that I have after that, and we're going to let that one run for a piece for the dream or get stopped out. It's going to be one or the other. So we're going to see what we get. But Meta's pumping, Microsoft is pumping, Tesla's pumping, Google's pumping, Nvidia's pumping. Everybody and their mother's dog's third cousin is absolutely pumping to the high side here. Let's see if we can get that fill. It's a nice move up midday, baby. Well, there's really nothing for me to complain about other than the fact I still haven't gotten the fill at 48s, but we're probably going to have to pack our patience there. I haven't looked at any small cappers ever since doing that small cap analysis at the top of the show. I don't really see much in the way of anything moving or worth my time at the moment. It seems to be more of a Mag 7 futures trade. I see that the chips are running. ASML has now broken above 10%. This thing is an absolute rocket. It has a monopoly on the ultraviolet lithography machines, and basically to make any sort of advanced chip, you gotta go through them, and that's kind of the best model to have. Guys, they have 51% gross margins. That is unheard of for a physical product. Unheard of, right? That's more like SaaS software margins. Like, I mean, when you get more into this kind of thing, you start knowing when something is an outlier. And this is one of those ones which is an absolute outlier. It looks like it got a positive print in Europe because it continued to pump. It is up and to the right since closing there at 11.35. It was at 8.42.5. Now we're talking about 8.57 and a third. ASML absolutely pumping to the high side. What a great day for the chips, and what a great day for the market. We're awfully close to getting filled here at 48 and a quarter. We just barely touched that 48. It is not to be at the moment. We're still a smidge below 17,750 ADR waiting there.
Yeah, I feel like I'm betting against you or something accidentally because I'm trying to get involved in this Tesla short. Like I said, I find that this 211, 30, 40-esque range really interesting. I'd be taking some profit out, just wetting the beak here at this 210.60, and then saving a piece for the dream just above 210. That being said, I probably set my point of entry as goes too high. I was trying to get in at 211.30. Looks like now we're dancing around 211.15, 211.20. I don't want to necessarily chase this move, but if I do still see some 211.20 support, I'm comfortable getting in there. Look at how clearly we keep rejecting every time we get near here. I actually thought we could have had, with this bounce here, I really thought we could have had that 211.40 push up back into that 212, but we really didn't have it. We keep holding this one like a glove. As you know, I was talking to Obi about this, and he said, what do you look for in Tesla book and tape? And I said, when it slows down and what levels it kind of clings to.
Fair.
And I feel like we have been clinging to this level right now. It's been a key level intraday. I'm getting out if we break above 212. We just got involved in that short. Eli Lilly also still short in Mademoiselle Lilly, looking a bit dicey here. We're still kind of holding within my point of entry, though. Like I said, I want that decisive 638 break. So decisive. I guess I don't want it, but that's where I'm getting out if we get above there. That 638 break, because that's where I had some consolidation earlier, just above VWAP. If we do make a decisive, candle close there, and I will be looking for a close because I find sometimes I tend to get out of stuff a little bit too early the second we hit these levels. I want kind of a close at that level, and then I shall make my exit stage right from Mademoiselle
Why do they say
Lilly.
stage right? Why can't you go left?
To the left, to the left.
I know, I'm just asking.
I think you can go either. It depends on, I guess, the writer. I don't know, on the play. But yeah, we're going to have to see here. Also, thank you very much to Neil posting about DraftKings and a deal here with Barstool getting back into sports betting with DraftKings. Let's look at DKNG. I always want to call this one Donkey Kong, I'm not going to lie. Did you get a fill in the future?
Yes, I did. We just touched 17,748 ADR. I got excited, but you had something to say, so I don't want to interrupt.
No, I mean, congratulations on that. All I had to say was, yeah, DraftKings, so not really double bottom, but I mean, nice little support of that 38.60 area. There we go. And I think coming into that 39.25 will be interesting. That's the area from whence it rejected earlier today. So can we push above that and make a new high? If so, I think DraftKings could be a nice move here for the NQ general to the upside. And again, congrats on that beautiful NQ trade. Right now, just watching Lilly and Tesla.
Adara, we're pumping on the future, man. We are pumping on Meta. We're pumping on Microsoft. We're pumping on Apple. Even the Amazonian, the dead one on the day, let's just say, is pumping. Nvidia, this was $130 this time last year. It's $620. Yes. Yes. It's madness. It's madness. 620 coming in again, likely here on Nvidia. We're 619.04. Tesla is now above 211, or is it? Someone was telling me there in the chat that oil is pumping. Yes, it is as well. Almost up 2%, 1.9% for the WTI March contract. and all the oil equities as well, or energy equities, I should say, are all in the green. XOM, CVX, Oxy, Devon, all of them are positive on the day. In the low single digits, so we'll have to keep an eye on oil. Nothing for me for a trade on oil at the moment. I'm just watching the 17,750 intently here on the NQ March contract. I'm looking to see whether we encounter real resistance at that 50-point level, or are we going to continue into 17.7 2/3, because that's the high of day. 17.765 is the high of day on the NQ. We're long 09s. Let's see if we can continue to run into high day, maybe even more. Who knows? I have one out left, and therefore I'm going to hold this until either I get stopped out or we continue to break to the north side. We'll have to wait and see. It's noon right now, so Neil will be coming on shortly with Real Deal, so get ready for that. But yeah. Not much else other than to talk about the Mag 7 and the futures, because they're already, and the chips, don't get me wrong. The chips are not included in the Mag 7 except for Nvidia. AMD is at $179.50. It's up 6 2/3 again. What the
Lisa Sue is having a good time. What the bad word?
Stop, Ram Ram. Ram Ram's trying to get me fired. She's like, say the word.
You're making her sound like she's possessed over there. Say that.
All right, guys. Yes, let's get those likes up. Thank you, Lark Moto. What is our like count right now? We've been yelling, we've been trading, we've been teaching. We should have a decent like count. Let's find out. Here is the Trader TV Live, obviously, YouTube page. What's the like count at? 345. Bro, that's cookie numbers, says the Chilean Nightmare. Let's get those numbers. I don't know cookie number. I didn't hear what you said. Oh, okay. Let's get that number up. Let's get at least 500 before Neil takes over for Real Deal. I think that's a fair thing to ask, right? Like, I mean, we're not asking for the moon here. But yo, it's 420 now, Adara. Okay, we're good with that.
420, maybe 21.
420, yeah.
21.
Well, whatever. Guys, by the way, I wanted to show you guys something on the Trader TV Live YouTube page. A lot of the terminology that Adara and I are using, and the big kahunas as well on their show, you know, sometimes we don't have time to stop and explain what VWAP is, what exponential moving average is. And so if you're a newer trader and you're just joining us, this is a really good source for you. So let's just say I use the term VWAP. You might not know what volume weighted average price is. Hit that search button right there and type in VWAP and hit that enter button. And then this handsome looking individual here by the name of Neil, he'll basically has an entire video teaching you how to use VWAP for huge profits. Obviously, we gotta use a catchy headline there. And surprise, surprise, it's on Plug Power. So you'll be able to see what Plug Power was trading at 2 years ago versus the depressed level that it's at now. The point is, this YouTube homepage for Trader TV is great for using or to search some of the terms that we use here, because sometimes we don't have enough time to go back, stop, and talk about them. But it is time for the Real Deal with Neil.
Welcome to the Real Deal. You wake up thinking the same thing every single day. Where's my phone so I can check my messages? But what else do you know? You find out what day it is. What day is it today? What's happening? Do I have an appointment? Do I have something scheduled? Do I have to go to the dentist? Like, whatever it might be. In trading, it is all about understanding what is going on that day. I want to talk about why the calendar is your friend, something that came up today. Whether your style of trading is scalp trading, position trading, hold it all day, futures, whatever it might be, you need to understand the context of the market that you are going to be trading in before you make trades. And it all starts with that preparation. What is on the calendar? Anybody and their mother knows what's going on with the semis recently. There's been big time movement, and you had 3 examples of what I'm about to talk about here today. You had SMCI with guidance a couple weeks ago. You had TSM, Taiwan semi. They bolstered the semiconductor market. Today, you had a major player in the semiconductor game, ASML, report strong earnings and blow it out the water. They're up 10% in Europe, dual listed as well, so you can trade them in Canada, but they're up 10%. So you know there's going to be movement if you're trading the chip names. If you're going to be trading in Nvidia today, you had to look at this, see that we're already gapped up before the US market even opened up. Overnight, you got those earnings and they were a blowout. So there's going to be an outsized opportunity in some of the chip names. ASML, it's not just that it's breaking out today, it's a big time breakout on the daily. If you don't know this is happening, say you ignore the European markets or just don't read up on anything, you just only look at your charts, you might think it can be a normal day in Nvidia. Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't a normal day relative to the last two. Nvidia continued its charge to the upside. This is what happened on the open on Nvidia. Now, if you thought it was going to be relatively muted compared to the previous day, it was an inside day by the end of it with a wick bottom. Today, it was a rip-your-face-off rally. It's not to say that you're just automatically going long, but you're anticipating something a little different in the chip space because you looked up that calendar, because you know who reported, and you understood that one of the important names had a monster breakout. Well, what else do we know about the calendar today? Another fantastic example is everybody's excited about Tesla. Okay, that's great. Tesla's a great day trading stock. Nothing wrong with it. It's fantastic. It gives you moves. It gives you opportunities. There's always good volume. But they report after the bell today. And what happens when everyone's anticipating earnings? Sometimes you can't break out of the range because no one's making those big bets. Positioning themselves in either direction. And in the case of Tesla, you end up with an inside of the last 3 days range. Something on our morning preparation we talked about specifically. Now, can you win on an inside trade? Tops and bottoms. Sure you can. But it's not going to break. It doesn't break outside of the range. Now, it's not as simple as, okay, now 100% because earnings are on Tesla today, I'm not going to look for any types of breakouts. I'm not going to look for continuation. It's just another arrow in your quiver that you can anticipate range bounds so that when you get the bounce off the bottom, you're making sure you grab your profits back out of the top. Sometimes things will run going into earnings. A lot of times they might do it in the second half of the day. But if you're unaware of what's ahead in that calendar to give you an indication of the type of day it might be on Tesla, then you're missing out on something very, very important that should be a part of your morning prep. And, you know, I'm going to give you another example of this. And the reason why I want to talk about something that we don't usually mention. Like we trade equities on the live show, as you guys all know. You know, we're not Forex traders. You're going to be trading equities here at Trader TV Live. But here's a USD CAD. So right at about 9:45, it went from just chilling out down at the lows to, oh my goodness, let's gap up and go into the 135, and it levitates to the upside. Well, obviously something happened here. Now, if you don't know what it was, then you probably shouldn't be trading Forex. You probably shouldn't also be trading something that's going to be dual listed. Now, I'll give you an example of something that doesn't move that was dual listed today. Like a stock, this is a company being bought by another one. It has a defined range for 2 days because it's just a buyout stock. What happens at 9:45? It goes from the bottom right to the top. So there was an opportunity in this stock to fade it. But what happened at 9:45? Well, Canada had its interest rate decision. So when an interest rate decision happens, is it going to move the currency? Typically so. And if you're ready for it, you can take advantage of it. If you're not, you can find yourself absolutely blown out. And I'm talking from experience. Years ago, I was actually trading a dual listed buyout, stable range, tons of volume. I was having a fantastic morning. I actually had my best day of the month trading both the US and the Canadian buyout at the same time, doing market making on it. And then all of a sudden, at 10 o'clock, I lost half my day in the blink of an eye. Now it stabilized immediately after that. And I remember it was about 20 seconds after it happened, I put my head down, I just shook it and said, Canadian interest rate decision. I had gotten so wrapped up in all the executions and the fantastic morning and all those trades that I forgot to look at the calendar and note the time and note the day. I knew it was coming. I could have just canceled orders and take advantage of the move, but I wasn't ready for it. You can get lost in the sauce Whether you keep up, you go to investing.com, whatever source it might be. Benzinga's got a calendar. I think it's a fantastic one as well. That's what I'm using oftentimes. As long as you know, hey, check our watch list every single day. That has economic data on it. Where you get your information from is up to you. We're going to provide you with a bunch of free stuff, but you got to do your own diligence as well. If you don't know, then you are running the risk of making an easily correctable mistake. The market's going to do what it's going to do. You can control your preparation, right? Like I could have controlled that day canceling my orders at 9:59 in 30 seconds, right? Today, if you didn't want to get trapped, you could have canceled your orders. There's a lot you can do in terms of preparation. Maybe you can take advantage of it, maybe not. Sometimes risk off is just as good as taking advantage of a big mover. But the calendar is your friend. It is a resource for you. Know what type of day it might be. Tesla, range bound. Everyone's waiting for earnings. Chip stocks, blowouts. ASML up double digits and was gapping higher in the overnight markets because of earnings over in Europe. USD CAD, big mover. Anything dual listed had a shift at 9:45, and they had a new time that they actually released it. They used to release it at 10. Now they release it at 9:45. Something Brendan said on the live show, so everyone should have known about that. It doesn't really matter your style of trade. Make sure you get your preparation part of the routine, and looking at the calendar for anything that's important and pertinent to your style of trade, it should be one of the first things you do in your morning routine. It's a part of mine, it's a part of Sean's, it's a part of Brendan's, it's a part of Sharif's, it's a part of Adara's. So that's the real deal. Make sure you know what's up with that calendar. Don't just check your phone for messages in the morning. Know what's coming up in your day. That's the real deal.
Yeah, one time I told Neil I checked the Dow. When I woke up, he's like, who checks the Dow?
Oh, yeah, you did say
Remember?
this,
And I got scolded for an entire day for looking at the Dow, right? All right, no, kidding, of course. Guys, we're very close to getting filled on the futures position. We're sitting at 69 and a quarter. I'm talking about 17,769 and a quarter, but alas, it was not to be. And now we are tanking, coming back down into 17,750. So I said to Adair, I'm like, double top, question mark, right? I mean, we could absolutely get a double top on here, even though I'm not really a chart pattern futures trader. I kind of save the chart patterns for the equities. I like my levels for the future, but we just dropped 20 points real quick there. 17,768 is the high. We're at 17,746 now, so well below 20 points here, but we haven't made any newer lows. Discernible newer lows, but look at us absolutely tank off the highs there, man. I was 1 point and a quarter from getting filled there. We had to stay on 69s for the whimsical effect, and we ended up paying for that because, well, we should have been saying something a bit more reasonable. But anyway, let's see what we get here. Do we hold this level? Do we continue to print up? Maybe the 75 level is in the cards. Maybe 17.8 is in the cards. Not really exactly sure. This is a blue sky setup. We are at all-time highs on the NQ. There is nothing in the chart above where we are now. You can call it blue sky setup. You can call it price discovery. Call it what you want. But I just know we dropped 30 points in one 5-minute candle just like that on the futures. So market catching a bit of a sell right now. Is it going to be a prolonged sell, or is this just kind of, the noise that we get with regular trading? So we're going to try to exercise some patience here on the future, but big move down. All right, Adara, let's start the lesson again. Let's bring in the material over here. Give me a sec, production team, just to set up. And I will be ready momentarily. Okay, 1 second here. 3 falling methods. There we go. We got the Doji. So let's start with that. All right, let's do this. So the first one is the Doji candle. And we talked a lot about the Doji candle already in the lesson on Monday and the lesson on Tuesday because, well, we were looking at them with other candles. Today, we're going to be looking at the Doji and the spinning top, very similar in isolation. Let's start first with the Doji. Today, by the way, sorry, I should have prefaced with this. We are talking about continuation candlestick patterns. So previously, we were talking about reversals. Monday was bullish reversals. Yesterday was bearish reversals. Today, we are talking about continuation candlestick patterns. The first one, Doji. When a market's open and closing price are almost at the same level, the candlestick that results will resemble like a cross or a plus sign or something like that. Traders should look out, essentially here, for a short, non-existent body with wicks of varying length. And that's the difference here between the Doji and the spinning top. The upper and the lower wicks on the Doji can be of varying lengths. So they don't have to be equidistant. They could be, you know, the top could be a little bit longer than the bottom a little bit longer than the top. The point is to look for a small body with bigger, wider wicks, okay? The Doji's pattern is very specific about what it conveys, and it's conveying a struggle between buyers and sellers that results in no net gain for either side, hence why the body of the candle is so small. Alone, a Doji is a neutral signal, but it can be found in reversal patterns like the one that we talked about on Monday called the bullish morning star, or the one we talked about yesterday called the bearish evening star. In those patterns, we looked at the Doji in conjunction with other candles. In this one, we're looking at it alone. So if it doesn't fall within some of the patterns that we talked about on Monday and Tuesday, the Doji should be looked at as a continuation pattern, and it's reflective of market indecision, okay? And this is kind of what it looks like here. I'm sure you guys can find plenty of Dojis in the wild. By the way, I negated to mention this. On my platform, I have something called Trading Central. And this trading, I'm not going to bring it down because we're not sponsored by these people, and I don't want to big them up. But the point is, I can basically search for chart patterns. I can search for candlestick patterns, and the system will go out there and look for it and give me results. And obviously, you know, 90% of them are going to be trash. They're not going to be what I'm looking for, but about 10% will actually be legitimate. So if you have that option on your trading platform or your brokerage or whatever, utilize it if you want to get better with chart patterns and candlestick patterns. All right, so that was the Doji. Let's go on to the spinning top. Very similar to the Doji, like I said, except here that the wicks, the upper and the lower wick, are going to be equidistant, or as close to equidistant as, you know, the human eye can gauge. So the spinning top candlestick pattern has a short body, like I just said, centered between wicks of equal length. The pattern indicates indecision in the market, resulting in no meaningful change in price. In this particular case, the bull sent it higher, the bears brought it back down, and we ended up somewhere in the middle, okay? Spinning tops, which is what we're looking at here, are often interpreted as periods of consolidation or periods of rest, we can call them that, following a significant uptrend or downtrend. So you're going to basically see these sometimes at the top, at the crest of a price action move up, or at the trough of the price action move down. And they're going to be basically either reversals or candles of indecision. On its own, the spinning top is a relatively benign signal, but they can be interpreted as a sign of things to come, as it signifies that the current market pressure is losing control. So if we see a prolonged downtrend before we see the Doji, it may continue to trend down a little bit after that, but it should put you on notice that the bears may be losing control. Vice versa, on the way up, if you have a nice price action move up and you see a Doji at the crest at the top there, you may continue to trend up a little bit after that, but it should put you on notice that the bulls may be losing control there. So that is the spinning top. I negated to ask you if you have any questions.
I know. I guess just kind of one thing I'll say on this is kind of like a pause in market movement. I think it's what I was saying yesterday as well. Some of these are not always just reasons to enter trades, but there may be even sometimes reasons to think about exiting a trade. If you're in a trade, it's going nicely, you're trying to hodl, which is a thing, hold on to it for dear life, which is a thing I learned recently and I think is cool. But yeah, if you're in that and then you see something like this, you might be like, what am I going to do? Is this maybe a sign that we're having a little bit of a war here, a war between buyers and sellers? And then you might want to have to kind of consider the position, right? I just think it's just something to keep an eye on, and maybe just like a heads up warning signal at times too.
Yes, ma'am.
So that would be my take on that. And yeah, thank you for asking.
Oh, of course. And if you want to chime in, I mean, don't.
Of course. Appreciate that. Right. Thank you.
Next is obviously the rising three methods. Okay, and again, don't come at me in the chat. I didn't make up these names. Okay. Katina. Coin? Am I right? I'm right. The Katina Man's refill on Coinbase short is now $1.50 in the money. So he continues to do the dance there with Coinbase printing on that. So if you're following Katina Man's trade on Coinbase, he re-upped and now he's $1.50 in the money as that one continues to head south. Oh. How was it? Pretty good. I got that one. Hey, it's not Coinbase, he says, but go. So the point of why he's getting short there, as you can see that blue line, that's Katina Man's VWAP. So every time there's an ascent into VWAP, he's reinstituting that short and wetting his beak now. He's obviously $1.50 in the money off that 125 short. We're dancing with 123.5 there. Shout out to you, Katina Man, for that. Hell of a trade.
That's a really nice trade. Yeah, congratulations to Sean for another Dollar Club entry. Coinbase entering with, I guess, 100 coins, 100 pennies to the Dollar Club.
We haven't done that in a while. Yeah, remix. All right, let's move on to the next one. Falling three methods. What am I talking about here, guys? All right. The falling three method formation pattern is used to predict the continuation of a current trend, be it bullish or bearish, okay? And the pattern we're looking for here, it is formed of a long red-bodied candle on the left, followed by three small green-bodied candles sandwiched in between another red-bodied candle on the right. So there's there's a left red candle, the right red candle, and the downtrend that precedes it. So this shows that buyers tried to step in a little bit here, bringing the price action high, but they just didn't have enough strength to reverse a trend. And so this is a continuation trend for the way down. So the preceding trend is down, and then we get a big red candle to encompass the three green candles in the middle, and then another big red candle after that. And then what we're going to see is price continuation to the downside. So keeping with the theme today, we are talking about continuation candlestick patterns. And the one that follows this one is the exact same thing, but it's the rising three. So it's the exact opposite of what we talked about. So the opposite is true for this bullish pattern called the rising three methods. It consists of three short red candles sandwiched within the range of two longer green candles. And the trend that precedes this candlestick pattern is an uptrend, followed by a big green candle. In between there is three red candles where the bears tried to push the price action down, but the bulls said, no, you don't. And they pumped it right back up, and you have the making of a new high. And essentially what you do is you get a continuation up there. And what I mentioned at the top of the show when we talked about this the first time around is for a trend trader like myself, I hate chasing the price action. So if Nvidia was to say break 620, I wouldn't want to get long on the break of 620. I know some traders do that here and they do it to positive effect. That's just not my style. I'm going to want a pullback in an uptrend to be able to get in. So that's my kind of thinking around there. And this would be perfect for me because what I'm going with, number one, I'm sticking with the trend. Number two, I'm not chasing the price. Number three, I'm getting in on a pullback. So something like this would definitely suit me really well. And I want to share that with you guys today. Whether you're a bull or a bear, the three falling methods or the rising three method would be an excellent opportunity for you to weasel your way into a trend trade. Quickly before I send it back to Adara, we're above 50 again on the future, 17,750. I've got my last beak wetter at 69.25, Adara.
Yeah, no, congratulations on that futures trade. I do have some trade updates in a momento, but first, I actually do have a question.
Go.
So I know we were talking about how those stuff like the rising three and the falling three can be helpful for entering trend trades. What candle would you enter then? Would you wait for that third candle?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking that. I think that's a very good question. So personally, I would wait. So say I'm trading off the 5 minute, right? So let's bring in this over here. So this is what we're looking at. Here's the rising three method. So what I would wait for is we obviously have a big move up. Then we have three candles down. I'm trading off the 5 minute. What I would do is wait for the first 5 minute green candle to make a new high above this red one. So once this candle over here breaks the high On a closing basis of this candle over here, I'm going to punch long. Now, the closing basis is kind of, it's an up to you type of thing, right? So, for example, if you didn't want to wait for the candle to close because you don't want to give too much in the way of profit, so say look at this green candle, basically blows past this red candle, you don't have to wait for that. You could, take a little bit more risk and get in on an intra-candle wick. So the second it breaks through there, you have your resting order there and it triggers and you're long. To me, I would be I'd be more reluctant, I should say, to do that. But if I was to do that, I would have a stop right below the low of this red candle over here to catch me if this ended up being a failed breakout. Because this could be a failed breakout. We don't know, right? Or failed continuation, not breakout. That's the wrong word. A failed continuation. So to answer your question, on the third red candle, I'm waiting for the first green candle to make a new high above this red candle over here, have a resting order, wait for this candle to close, wait for this candle to break the high of this candle and punch long.
I like that. So you're not getting in too early. You're definitely patient. You're watching and you're waiting. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much for going over that, because as someone who, as I said, I'm trying to get better at doing dip buys, because I often end up doing dip buy into a knife, a falling knife. So working on that, and I do appreciate. Thank you for going over that.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, I can talk about my trades for a moment here. Tesla, we did exit the Cybertruck. Pretty happy with this. This was some scalpulation happening here. My initial plan of exit was I wanted first out at 210.60, second out 210.20. But we know what I do. I like, and that was basically just kind of levels of resistance we saw earlier. That was my reason for that. And this was definitely a case of you had to get your Samsonite out and pack your patience. Shout out to Sharif. And this is something I'm not always as good at. Sharif saw me. He was like, you're talking to Tesla like it's a dog. I was like, stay Tesla, go down Tesla. Because we just kind of, we're dancing around this 211.40, but the more we held that level, the more I felt emboldened. I like this level 1, 2, 3, 211.40, 211.30 rejections. I got it at 211.30, so definitely not top wick there. But basically, yeah, just kind of waiting for this to fall down. I noticed we had a little bit of trouble at that 210.75. That's where I took out the first part of the position. The rest I got out at 210.69 because I noticed that 210.70 area was definitely holding. We had a hard time getting lower than that. Happy I got it where I did, because then we did a nice push to the upside. I'm not getting involved in this as a short again for right now, because it looks that big move up off that 210.60, slightly higher low, makes me a little bit nervous. That being said, we're still holding 211.40 like a glove. Also, I'm involved in maybe the newest entrant to Mag 7, at least according to Jim Cramer. That is Eli Lilly. I am not joking. That is a real thing that was said on CNBC. Yeah, I'm saying it because I'm sure people in the chat are like, what are you talking about? So I have to admit, I didn't realize I got involved in this. She was not above a milli. So this is certainly something I have to hold myself accountable for. I didn't even realize until after. It was like, Adara, why'd you do this? I was saying I had to wait. I did not wait. I guess I was, a Scotian patient here. We had that VWAP projection. I said if we have the decisive break above 638, I'm outie. We did not. Initially, the plan was to get out part of the position at 635 and the rest just in that mid 634 area. Basically, we did have this interesting moment here where the book was getting really tight, really fixated on that 635.70, so that's where I got out half the position. First peak wetter there, or first dosage, I guess, because we're in Eli Lilly at medical stock. I would like to see here, if we go back down to that 636, might just take out the rest here, because it looks like we're having a really hard time going lower. That being said, it has been a bit of, like a stutter step to the downside, so I don't want to be too hasty here. Shout out, as always, to the Spice Girls. But we're going to have to see what we do here. If we can get the rest out back around that 636.50, or sorry, 635.50, my entry was 636.50, I would be pleased as punch. And yeah, I still, apparently in the couple Mag 7 names today, Tesla and Eli Lilly, according to Jim
How come
Cramer.
punch is pleased?
I don't know. Because I know you and I have had this conversation.
Are people
before.
pleased when they drink punch? Is that why? Or is it punch a different meaning in this case?
I think it's like, I don't know. I need to find the...
That's why we have the internet.
Right? Well, yeah, I need to find the etymological origin, I guess.
Calm down, Adara. Etymological. We're going to have to hit that.
Thank you.
Right.
I think I might have said it kind of funkily, but thank you for the word of the day button on that. We need, I like words. I find language really interesting, and yeah, we will have to, even though this is more of a saying than anything else, we will have to see why we were pleased as punch, but we are pleased as punch over here.
Adara, while you were talking about that analysis, we got the print at 69 and a quarter on the MNQ. New high of day on the NQ March contract, 17,774. We're on our way, or so it looks, into 17.8. Geez Louise, the future strong today, up 1 1/3% on the NQ, far outperforming the ES today, which is only up 2/3%. And look, the Dow's up 1/3. The Russell's doing bupkis as per usual. It's up 0.15. The NQ is all the rave, and it's probably being buoyed here by Meta, by Microsoft, and you guessed it, by Nvidia again. Someone in the chat was like, is Nvidia gonna have a red day? Like, Nvidia doesn't look like it wants to have a red day anytime soon. Let's go ahead and have a look at this daily here on Nvidia, because the intraday is an absolute monster. I mean, whoever was sitting at 600 there for the dip trade at the open, good for you. Because, I mean, looking at it ex post facto, I mean, obviously I would have wanted to get in that as well. We'll show you the short trade here we had on Nvidia earlier off the top, but this is an absolute rocket. We good? Yeah, an absolute rocket to the high side. Let's look at the daily now on NVDA. Sorry, guys, the pivots always distort the daily chart. Yeah. It does, Katina, man. Look at the chart. I mean, like, how can I show anything with that? So, what does it look like? Distorted. He said it looks distorted. How profound. All right, I love it. So here's the look on the daily on Nvidia, guys, and this was split adjusted, so there was never up here. That's when they split. By the way, somebody else was asking me in the chat, is Nvidia ever going to split? Well, my friend, they split in July of 2021. It stands to reason that, you know, we shouldn't discount the fact that they could split again. And, you know, the reason you want to split, obviously, is to get more retail interest. I don't think it makes any difference, really, for the long-term prospects of the company. But this is what Nvidia has been doing. What is this? This is the beginning of the year. Okay, so here is the first day of the year. First trading day of the year, and it was a red day. We all remember what happened on the first trading day of the year. Nvidia rejected 500, got all the way down to 475 when everyone was like, oh, okay, you know, it's going to be a bad year. Chips are going to give it back. Look what it's done since then. Let's go ahead and find out what percentage it's up since that time. So from the low that we had on January 2nd to the current price action here, we're up 31% since the beginning of the month, since the beginning of the year on Nvidia. So if you didn't think this one had room to move up, it's got plenty of room. And by the way, what I'm hearing from analysts is that even though the price action on Nvidia is insane and it's been going up a lot, relative to earnings, it's still not that expensive when you compare it to others. Have a look at the PE on AMD. Compare the PE on AMD to the PE on Nvidia. So that's all I got to say about that. Anyway, Adara, it looks like that was a mistake to take it out at 69.25, because now the new high of day is 17,779.5. Looks like we're on our way to 17.8.
Whew. Yeah, these markets do not know when to quit. The really nice look, though. Congrats on that futures trade. Nice little ducks ready for the beak letters there along the road to the upside. Eli Lilly still Eli chillin'. We're going to leave that be where it is. We're just trying to continue to go lower here. We're below my point of entry still. This was a short, so that makes me happy there. I just wanted to clarify. I said below my point of entry, and then I was like, if I was long, that'd be kind of funny. But just wanted to clarify this. Neil saying markets are too legit to quit.
I saw that. I started laughing.
I figured that's what you were laughing at there, yeah. Also, thank you to everyone in the chat.
Hold on, you know where that's from, right?
I think I do, but I've heard it so many times.
You're really good at this, so I didn't expect you to know, but because I know who you are and how you like older music, I figured you might know. Does MC Hammer ring a bell?
Yes. Okay,
There
I didn't know that was where that originated from. Okay, I like that. Thank you.
Katina, man, she's not of our yeah, like she's a lot younger than us.
Yeah, I know the Hammer pants. Can't touch this. Yeah. Can't touch this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't. Yeah. Thank you for that. Also, people, including so either Fabian or Amin here, live trader by Trader TV, saying the phrases derived from Punch and Judy puppet shows that were popular during the 1700s and 1800s in Europe and Great Britain are still occasionally seen. So that, yeah, very cool. Learned a new thing today. We will continue to be pleased as Punch about knowledge, because that's what we do here.
Adara, I need you to look at these futures. I mean, guys, look at the futures. I mean, we were talking about 17.8. like we may hit 17.8 by the end of the day. Guys, we're 14 points off 17.8. We are rocketing up on the NQ. It is now 1.5%. Apple's above 196. Amazon's knocking the door of 158.5. Meta is less than $4 from 400. 396.15. I mean, we're well above 400 now on Softy. 405 is where we're at right now, Adair. 625 incoming on Nvidia. I know I'm yelling, but I'm excited.
It's exciting.
I mean, this is an absolute rocket ship. Great day.
Yeah, what a time to be alive and interacting with these markets, I have to say. Yeah, I think Meta, it's crazy because I was involved. I was trying to short Meta at 392. Now we're talking 396 Meta. And this was the same day. This was but an hour ago. So really interesting. And I think also as we see all these moves in the market, it's always very important to keep an eye on what said market is doing. And with that in mind, I would like to take a moment here to thank the lovely people at Benzinga. So here I was just pulling up Amazon because people were asking about what Amazon's doing. Someone named Stephanie Link has announced that she bought more Amazon.com.
Oh, Stephanie Link's awesome.
I did not know who she was.
She's an analyst. She's on CNBC a lot.
Okay.
I think she's, what's it called? A money manager.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of money managers and stuff on CNBC. Yeah. Thank you for. I figured clearly she was an important person because they put her on here. But yeah, very very cool look there. And of course, we are brought to you by Benzinga Pro, and if you can sign up today for 50% off their premier news and research platform for retail traders with the code TTV capital letters. That is TTV capital letters. You just have to use the link in the description to go to checkout. When there are earnings tonight, if you want to look up Tesla earnings, all you have to do is type Tesla and find them. For Netflix earnings, they had them right live, and they have them in red, so they're really important. You can see these as they come in. I know Sean is always repping Benzinga and checking this when he is doing the market recap show. That's what we use here, so just wanted to take a quick shout out. As these markets are crazy, you can always double check what's happening. Did you want to see an analyst upgrade happen? You can always check. Benzinga might have
Absolutely.
it. That type of thing there, so much appreciated always. Also, Meta falling off that 396. If a dip buy presents itself, I may dip my toe into
well, we got to get some resistance here. I mean, we've been rocketing up.
Yeah.
Another trade I want to talk about that has been presenting itself, I think, for multiple weeks now. Neil and I talk about this a lot in the pre-market. These ADRs, especially the EV ADRs, if they gap up in the pre-market, there's a good chance that they're going to trend down the rest of the day. And that's one thing I'm going to be looking at going forward here because, obviously I watched Li Auto for a long time. I was involved in that name, so I'm really attuned to how it's trading, even though I never trade it live on the show. But one thing that I really noticed with XBEV, NEO, and Li is they'll gap up on whatever news happened overnight in the Asian markets, and then for whatever reason, they sell off the rest of the day. So it's as good as they're gonna do is gonna likely be in the pre-market, whether that's 4 a.m. or onwards. So one thing I'm really gonna start looking at right now in the next few days is to wait for any gap up on these Chinese ADRs, specifically the EVs, and I'm gonna look to fade them. And I'm gonna see how often that ends up being a thing, because just anecdotally from watching it day in, day out, not actually trading it, that seems to be a legitimate trading system, or not trading system, a particular type of trade that's presenting itself currently. I don't know how long that lasts for, but yeah, because I'm just looking right now, like you had XBEV, NEO, Li Auto, they were all 6-7% to the good. Now they're all negative. Li Auto is the only one that's flat. NEO's down 2% and XBEV is down 3 1/3. Wow, I'm just feeling all the frustration coming back to me from that Li Auto trade, right? Wow, I can't understand this. Anyway, whatever the reason is that they sell off during the trading day, it doesn't really matter. The fact is they do, and that's going to be one of the trades I look at from here on in, Adara. Yeah, not much to add here, except there was a new small cap gapper that was making its way onto the scene while Neil was doing Real Deal, and it goes by the name of CCTG. Now, what is this company? CCSC Technology International. They are an investment holding company engaged in the sale, design, and manufacturing of interconnect products. Don't know what the hell that is. All I know is that it's a 1.25 million share float. So 1.25 million shares, that's awfully small. It has a market cap of 158 million. And does it have a headline? One moment, please. Here, is this it? Yes. This one, the market value of their outstanding shares. No, it's not explaining why CCSC is gapping up, but at least I don't know why. I don't have anything on my blotter. So if you guys know, oh, here it is. This is from yesterday. Is it from yesterday? It's from the 22nd. No, this is from 2 days ago. So CCSC Technology International Holdings Limited announces closing of IPO. Okay. Not something that I anticipated to be a catalyst 2 days later. The point is, this one closed out yesterday at 975. We'll put in the horizontal trend line there. And we got a high a day today of 1645. It's right back down, though, to the 10-period moving average, EMA, at 14. So does it hold here? VWAP is also at just a little bit below 13 bucks. So the price action has been holding that green trend line, which is a 10 EMA on my chart. It's not an area where I'm going to get in. I'd like something like a whole dollar, or maybe it'd be better if whole dollar with VWAP together. So there's more confluence there. But the point is, this one rocketed up, and it looks as if there might be a V-shaped retracement here, though, with this huge red candle following the big green candle there. But I just want to point that out to you guys, CCTG.
That's so wild looking. I think one thing I've noticed too with regards to the catalyst, because I agree, not much of a catalyst, kind of small potatoes, but what I have noticed is you don't need as big of a catalyst for some of these small caps to move, and they can't be like multi-day runners. Like I know, or I think even that Tempest, that one that was up 3,000% and then continued to move for a couple days. I believe that was only one specific catalyst. This was a while ago, so I could be wrong on that. But I think sometimes I've noticed these ones need a little less oomph than some of these mega caps to get running.
Yes,
or I guess, you know what's interesting? I'm gonna posit something, and this could be incorrect, but this is just my observation. I've noticed really small caps and really large caps, they can have like kind of different types of catalysts, right? So these mega caps, you can have like some news on Tesla with price target increases or decreases, and that'll crazy move the stock, or even like price cuts for the vehicles.
Yes.
That can move the stock, right? Whereas with like a Ford or a GM, and I learned this, thank you to Brendan for kind of talking me through this, that's gonna move those stocks a little bit less because there tend to be less eyes on those, but because there are a lot of eyes on Teslas, those will move them more. Now the same is kind of the case actually for these little teeny tiny baby caps. And by that I mean, we can have a catalyst like a price target increase, or like, even, maintaining an analyst rating. We can have also like these little small cap bio updates, and those will move the stock like crazy, but you're not necessarily going to see that with these blue chips, with these more stable stocks, right?
Sure.
With these bellwethers. So I think that's something I've observed in my brief time in the markets. I just think it's kind of interesting how small caps and mega caps kind of do move similarly to some extent in terms of what gets them moving in the morning.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% there. And guys, Nvidia's at new high of day.
What?
Yes, 624.88. I thought you were serious there for a second.
He was being sarcastic.
Yeah. Nvidia, new high of day. We're 12 pennies off, $625. 624.88. It continues to print to the high side. Is AMD running? AMD just broke 180, and now we have a 180.45 on AMD. It's up over 7% on the day. Unreal. Taiwan Semi up 4%. Intel's having issues breaking with 50. Okay, so let's have a look at Intel. This is interesting here, okay? Because we've been dancing with that $50 level on Intel for a while. Let's load up this bad boy. And yeah, this is the chart on Intel. You can see we're accumulating here. Well, we were actually above 50. What am I saying? We got but yeah, not for that long. You can tell here. In late December, we did break through 50. On a closing basis, the best we could do was 51. We did wick into that 51.75. But look at this. Look where the closing prints are. They're all at 51. So I'd say that's a transient break of 51. 50, pardon me. Yeah, I'd definitely like a more sustained move through 50. But the point is, 50 is a level here on Intel, whether it's for the day or for the week. We'll have to see how long it eludes Intel for, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see there. Yeah, eludes. All right, let's look at something else here. The other trade that's interesting at the moment, and I don't really want to stand in front of it, is this 196 level on Apple.
Whew.
So look how many times we got into 196 Adara. I mean, here at 1040 and 1045, we did break through that pivot, albeit briefly, and then we quadrunked back down into 195. We're accumulating here at 196. So you could tell there's definitely resistance, and there was the IB. Look at the IB, the implied balance high right there. It is right at 196, 196.05. Forget about these wicks. Look where the closing prints are. They're south of that, actually. 195.87 is the closing print. So we're definitely having issues with 196. If this market, pardon me, starts turning south and we don't take 17.8, I'm going to be very interested in a short on Apple for this 196 rejection. Okay?
That's a good look.
Yeah. The thing is, though, with this one, what's holding me back a little bit, and let's talk about the other side of this, is that you have higher lows and higher highs. So there is a bit of an upward channel forming right now on Apple, and that just can easily be shown by doing the following. So you do have an upward channel, but I do like that 196 better than this upward channel. I got to tell you the truth. Right now, rejecting off at about 5 pennies, but I'm going to wait for a confirmation of a market downturn. I'm talking about the NQ before punching short here on AAPL, but I do like this 196 level for a short.
Yeah, sorry. Eli Lilly just got a giant spike to the upside, and that's why I was like making horrified faces at my computer. We're like at that 637, so I'm going to kind of wait and see what we do here. If this was like a false move to the upside, not really much volume accompanying it at all. So we're going to try to stay patient here. What I've noticed is we're having a really hard time decisively breaking below that 635.75 where I took out part of my position. So if we get back down there, I'm going to take the rest out. It's just that 635 even 50-cent winner for the second pay percent, because this is in fact the Sam trying to get better, trying to get a skosh more consistent.
Skosh.
Yes, skosh alert. Also Amazon. I just saw on my side here that Amazon is going. I did, you know, I am not the Amazonian. That title goes to Obi, but I tried to trade this one yesterday. If I see level on it, I get involved. I like these higher lows. I like these higher highs. I'm taking out some of the position at this previous spike here at 158.45. I always talk about this, I think, especially with my scalping. I like to take out previous at areas of resistance support because I know we can get there. Even if we know we can go further, I know we can get to that area, right? So I'm going to keep my eye on that, and I will, get some of the delivery here, delivering profits here at this 158.45. From there, I want to look at the daily chart for the rest of these profit takers here, because I think probably, I like holding to kind of like, probably that I don't mind, RIP my chart. Leave me a second here, P-Pro 8, just closing my daily chart here. But yeah, I think certainly with regards to Amazon, I will, that 158.45, if it was 148, it will be long gone because I am in a long. But yeah, 158.45, certainly some of the profit takers. Yeah, I think honestly from here, it's kind of more of like that, not necessarily a blue sky setup, as you say, but I think certainly one that I'm going to keep my eye on, just kind of see what we're doing at certain levels. Do the book watching and tape watching for the rest of my profit takers here. But mainly just trying to see what Mademoiselle Lilly is doing, because that spike up there, 637 scaring me a little bit. We may have to call it quits here. Happy that I took one dose of profits at that 635.75 area. So that's mainly what I'm looking for. Also, I like that idea of that Apple short. I was keeping an eye on that level as well on my side chart, just how we keep rejecting that 196.
Yeah.
So I totally get what you mean there. Lots of stuff to see on the market. Also, someone was saying earlier DWAC week, so I want to look at that as well. D week, I guess, and not DWAC. That didn't really work, but week, down about 12%, lower highs, lower lows. I totally concur there. Rough look on this move to the downside. Also, Pranaya also liking the idea of that 196 Apple short. Okay. So congrats to you on that. And I think, D week, No, I think this is a really very much a look to the downside here. A little bit of bounce off that 46 earlier. Then we had a little bit of resistance becoming support. We come up to that 46 after falling earlier. This would be around 12:15, around when the real deal with Neil concluded. And then DWALC decided its real deal was going to be to fall back to that 44 area. We're just above that 44 now. I think the next area we're somewhat to short DWALC, although personally I don't know if I get involved because this name kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see what it does at 43. Shout out to Till Rand saying D-whack in the chat. And thank you very much to Jacobs here. Hello, everybody. Hope you had a great day so far, and best of luck to you all for the rest of the day. Thank you very much, and best of luck to you as well. Nvidia.
Look at Nvidia, my goodness, just blew $2 there from 624 right into 626. Like, it didn't even matter. Yeah, I get it's a $600 stock. It's not a $300 stock anymore, so $2 ain't what it used to be. But like, let me tell you, man, this thing is a rocket ship up. We're 4.5% up on a $600 name. How many times have we been saying that? 4% up, 5% up, 3% up on Nvidia. Anyway, the rocket ship that is Nvidia continues to go. And the only trade I had on this was a short earlier. It was profitable, but we got this round top, as Michael Moss likes to say. You sell the frowny face, you buy the happy face, and we got a nice little short there on this one, bottom wick on it, and then we ended up getting out for the last little bit there, just a bit better than break even actually. So thankfully got out of that, because right now 626.75 HOD on Nvidia. The other thing I wanted to mention was we have a 5-year note auction coming up in 10 minutes at 1 o'clock. The 5-year note, 2 bulls out of 3. I don't follow the 5-year personally. I follow the 10, the 2, and the 30. But this one gets 2 bulls out of 3. I don't know what the 5 years current yield is. Do I have the 5-year on this one? No, I don't. For whatever reason, I don't have the 5-year on my platform. I'll have to find out what it is, because we need to compare the actual result of the auction to what it's currently trading at, the yield I'm talking about. So see if it was met with exuberance or met with tame demand there. So 5-year note auction, that's it. Every other economic data point we've already had. We had the oil stuff come in at 2:30. We had the Bank of Canada rate decision, which doesn't interest a lot of people here, at 9:45. Prior to that, we had what Adara talked about at the big desk, the manufacturing PMI, the services PMI, that all came out at 9:45. So the only data point left for us today is a 5-year note coming up in about 8 minutes or so. The Piper SMCI is several percentages up. Yeah, I yelled to Neil today in the morning. I'm like, SMCI is up again, Neil. And I'm like, we're not even at the end of the month, and we're up 66% year to date on SMCI. I should probably correct myself now, because we're up 74% now on SMCI year to date. This thing is a rocket, in case you're wondering what I'm talking about. Super microcomputer, what they do is they basically install, help service, they provide software for data center AI. So like when you get these GPUs, they don't just come with the hardware, they come with software. Nvidia provides you with software for that. It's an ecosystem that they try to lock you into. Where have we seen that before? But anyway, SMCI does a lot of that back-end stuff and helps make sure that everything's going on, everything's working properly on your end. And we're awfully close to that 500 level on SMCI. Technically today, the high of the day is at 494.43. This one though, it's not much of a day trading stock because the spreads are so wide. Let's pull up the SMCI trading screen over here. So we have Nvidia over here. Let's pull up SMCI and let's look at what the spread is right now. Well, the spread's a cool, right now it's about 40 pennies. It's wider at times. Right now it's 20, 13. Yeah, it ranges. Sometimes it's wide as $1, or it could be 60 pennies. It really depends. It's harder to trade though, for me anyway. It's up 8%. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at here. But you know what else is up big on the day? Obviously, in addition to Nvidia, it is Softy. Softy continues to make new highs of the day right now. Microsoft breaking through 405 and holding above 405 at the moment. It is at highs 405.46 high a day. It's coming into resistance level 1, like real soon. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. The best trade, in my opinion, on Softy today was this VWAP hold over here. You went green to red to green again. It's an ABCD pattern. But there it is, that 402.5 VWAP hold on Softy, and you'd be like $3 some odd in the money. Microsoft continues to be quite strong today. Apple also still rejecting off that 196, but for now, how long does Apple stay below 196? It's still putting in higher lows. So for the person that was, kind of enthused about this trade in the chat for a 196 rejection, really what I'm looking for is not just the 196 rejection, but a market downturn, as well as the making of a new low. So the new low for me comes vis-a-vis that 195.5 break. So that is where we kind of troughed out last time. If we break that, that would be an interesting short. But I'd be looking for the market to really turn around. And the market is not turning around. Adara, we are 7 points off that 17.8. 17.793 3.5 is a high a day, and I got out at 69s, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have been holding this into possibly 17.8, as it didn't give me a reason to get out. We didn't make any newer lows, but I just want to wet my beak. So anyway, the point is we're awfully close to 17.8. How do we trade around 17.8? That's going to be really interesting. Do we reject 17.8? Is that going to be the top on the day? So if we do get a 17.8 touch, there's going to be decisions to be made around there, Dare.
Yeah, no, I'm just, I have Microsoft looking at this here, this one moving to the upside, seeing this funny interaction between Darwin and Neil in the chat here about Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't want to be called Softy anymore. Neil saying it's going way too hard to the upside for that name. I appreciate a pun, and we have to appreciate the movement of Microsoft here. Not much to say. Some nice pre-market consolidation ready to spring into action here at open, which we do. Nice bounce up to this 404.60 area, just shy of 405. We come back, we bounce off VWAP, which is the same area we were consolidating around earlier. Then we have this nice push to the upside. We eclipse 405 with a vengeance after touching around there earlier. So I think really nice look on Microsoft. And yeah, certainly this name is going very hard. I think this is a really nice look. I'll talk about the two trades I am still in right now. I am short Lilly and long Amazon. This Lilly short, I got a little bit nervous with this big green candle to the upside here. Not bad volume on this either, but not great. Like I said, I really, if we see a higher high, I'm going to have to say au revoir. So at that point, it would be this move above this 637.80. I did take some profit out here. I probably should have set my second beak water a little bit lower. A very small position and a paper trade as I am learning how to trade here and practicing with the market. And the market certainly teaching hard lessons every day. What a move we have lately. I also, the Amazon long, not much shaking in here, just kind of swinging from the vines from that 1550, 1520, or 1550. 158.15, 158.20 area. I did get in here. I saw, was looking at what we had here on the book, and I liked how we were holding that area. Higher highs, higher lows. If we make a decisively lower low, so if that break towards that 158, I'm going to have to say au revoir. Like I said, planning on taking some profit at that 158.45, saving a piece for the dream. The dream would probably end up around that 158.60, and that would be about a 50 paper penny winner here. Also, lots of mentions here of AMD. Chill Vibes asking what I think of Nvidia, or sorry, not AMD, Nvidia, getting the chip names all confused here. Of that 630, let me look at Nvidia 630. I think too, it's hard, as we're literally in uncharted waters here, because this is not a level we've been at. We keep making new all-time highs in Nvidia. Basically, what you have to do is kind of look at the movement. We had, as Sharif talked about, he had this awesome short here earlier off that 220 failure. Then we had that nice rounded bottom scooping towards the upside. I think if we continue to make these lower highs, lower lows, which really we haven't been having, we have a little bit of consolidation, another spring to the upside. I think, we have to do $1 at a time, right? Let's see if Nvidia can take that 628. If we continue to see 628, 629, we could see Nvidia 630. I would not underestimate Nvidia. I know I did try to short this right after that 500 break, which feels like it was years ago. It was only about 2 weeks ago. That is how crazy Nvidia has been moving. This swiftness, this viciousness in this move makes me not want to doubt this name. I do think, basically, long story short, Nvidia 630 could be possible, but I think we really do need to take it one step at a time. or $1 at a time in this case here with this trade. Yeah, still sitting in the 2 trades that I am in, and also continuing to watch Tesla for those the 211.40 break. By the time I noticed it this time, I just couldn't get involved. I am, though, cognizant of the fact that we are still seeing slightly higher highs and higher lows, certainly higher lows here on Stressless, so I might not hop back on the Cybertruck quite yet.
The other one I want to point out is ASML. So we were looking at SMCI before, but ASML, the Dutch manufacturer or chip machine manufacturing company, absolutely rocketing to the upside here, especially after that Europe close at 11:30. So remember that? We were at about 8:40, 8:41 when Europe closed there. And then Neil was telling us to keep an eye out on that. And more accurate he could not be. Look what it has done since Europe closed at 11:30. Again, we were at 8:41. Now we are knocking on the door of 865 with an 864.59 high on ASML. Much like SMCI, ASML suffers from lower-ish volume. I'm not saying it's low volume, lower-ish volume. And as a result of that, the spread's a little wider. So getting in, getting out, you could get cut up a little bit here. So make sure that you are incorporating the spread into your trading plan and into your overall risk management. But it continues to print, was up over 11% at the highs on ASML. Reported today, beat on the top and bottom line, but essentially said 2024 revenue was likely going to be close to 2023, and where they see the real expansion is in 2025. Whether or not that happens or not, that is what the company is saying. The other thing I want to talk about for my small cap gapper traders is EVAX. This is setting up for what I like to call that VWAP hold high of day break. And essentially, if you haven't heard this type of trade before, what it is, it's a big move up by a small capper that ends up holding or straddling VWAP from the high side after making a big move up. And so that's what we got here. We got this big move up into 13 and a third, and then we came back down and we've held VWAP twice. First was around that 10, the other one around 10.5. You can see all these wicks into VWAP all have held. The trade here is not to range trade between VWAP and whatever the top end of the range here is. The trade here is to build a position at VWAP for a test of high of day during the more liquid time of day. And that more liquid time of day is kind of a variable. Sometimes it can be 2 o'clock, sometimes it can be 3. The point is you want to build up your position during the lower volume time on the small cap gapper, typically right now, like midday, and then wait for the people to come in, or for the traders, the algos, or whoever the hell is going to trade this, to come in, push this bad boy up to test the high of day. 1350, 1361 is where resistance likely will lie. If you look at the wicks, if you look at the closing prints, it's sub 13. So the closing print there was at around 1287 or so. So this is setting up for an interesting VWAP hold high of day break. If this comes in to VWAP again, I may be interested. I may set up a resting order there for 10 3/4, because you know VWAP's ascending a little bit here. So if I put it at 1050, it may not get filled, right? Because VWAP's moving up incrementally. So I might set up an order on this bad boy for a small amount of shares on EVAX at $10.75. Adara, it is now 1 o'clock. Should we look at some candlestick patterns?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm very excited to kick off this lesson one more time.
Before you do that, we did get the result of the 5-year note auction. Adara, thank you, Jimbo Slice, for throwing that in the chat. So this time around, Jimbo saying that we got a 4.055 print. Again, I can't compare that to anything because I don't have the 5-year up on my platform, but last time around, 3.8 was a print. We'll have to wait and see what the 4.055 result compares to the current market action.
Yeah, thank you for that update there, and thank you always for the people in the chat putting this in for when we're talking about other things, or when, because I know sometimes the updates do not come automatically here for the auction. But yeah, let's talk now about some more candlestick patterns. I'm just going to get that set up here. Un momento. Get these ready to go. So we have the little diagrams up, and we can see what these patterns are made of. So yeah, continuation patterns. These are kind of interesting too. We've been talking a lot about reversal patterns, so signs that if we're in a bull market, we might reverse to bear market, or if we're in bear, we might reverse to bull. And again, of course, nothing is on its own. We like to look at things, as Sharif says, on the balance of the evidence. We like to make sure we're sure without a reasonable doubt, and really, have everything kind of come together before we enter these trades. And I think candlesticks are one of the tools you can put in your tool belt, or as Sharif says, one of the arrows in your quiver. I really like that analogy as well, so that you can, take the market by force, Katniss Everdeen there, and shoot the market in the heart. But let's find out how do you do that? What are some continuation patterns to keep an eye out for candlesticks? So Doji is one of them. So this one, a market opens and closes basically at the same price, and you're going to get this cross or little plus sign depending on the extent to which we have movement. So sometimes for a doji, you'll have legitimately pretty much no movement, pretty much open and close the candle at the same area. And I say day, any session, so your 5 minute, your 1 minute, whatever candle you are looking at, because as Sharif always says, these are fractal. They can work on whatever time frame, but of course it's going to be a little bit more significant if you see something on a wider time frame, which is, I think, something to keep in mind for sure. So I just want to put that out there, but basically you're going to see also wicks of varying length. That's why it could be a plus sign, could look like a cross. The wicks are really going to depend, but you do have this teeny tiny body here, and basically what this pattern shows is we're getting into a war with buyers and sellers at this level. There's no gain for either side. Alone, it's going to be a bit of a neutral sign, but you can find it in reversal patterns. Generally, though, could be a little bit of a sign like, hey, buyers and sellers are slowing down. The pattern could continue. So this could kind of go either way. It can be found in reversals, but generally it's a bit of a continuation pattern, bit of a calming down for the market before the movement continues. Now let's talk about the spinning top, or the Beyblade. Someone was mentioning it looks like a Beyblade in the chat. What a throwback. Also, another pattern, this kind of also looks like, like spinning top, anything like that here. Basically, you've got a short body in between two wicks of equal length. Which someone was pointing out earlier. It was Rob Marley in the chat saying Disney did have one of these on the 15-minute around 8:30, 8:15. If you want to take a look at that, that was a really clear one. Because I was saying to Sharif earlier, are these harder to find in the wild? Because you do need those equal wicks. They are a little bit harder to find in the wild, but they are visible. And thank you as always to people mentioning these when we find them in the wild. Basically, this will show again, like the doji, some indecision in the market. So there's not really been a meaningful change in price, but we have a little bit of movement, either the upside or downside. Teeny tiny body there. You'll have the bulls pushing the price higher, the bears smacking it right down, and basically it shows kind of a period of consolidation. Tesla had less of these and more kind of that. Tesla had a lot of consolidation candles on the 5 minute earlier, so I can kind of show those, but basically a sign that, hey, we're still fighting a little bit at this price level, right? And this shows also it could be an important price level if you're not seeing any meaningful movement here. It just could be a sign this level is important for whatever reason, and people are trying to, buyers and sellers trying to figure out what they want to do here. But basically, on its own, it can be a benign signal, but they can also show a sign of things to come. It signifies that we're losing some control over the market pressure. Like you said, could go either way and could also just be a sign of continuation. I do want to talk about Meta had some interesting stuff going on here with the 392, so I want to show those later as well, if I may and if I remember. Now we have the falling three method. So basically, I find this kind of interesting, the falling three and the rising three, because the falling three is when you have three to the upside and we're in a bear market, and the rising three is when you have three to the downside and we're in a bull market. So I find it kind of counterintuitive with these names. But the falling three is the bearish pattern wherein you do have these three candles to the upside. As you can see here, the movement within these three candles is pretty much entirely contained within our first big red candle to the downside, right? So I think that's certainly something of note. This happens generally, we're in a bear market, and then we have this big old red candle, and then it looks like, hey, maybe the sellers are or maybe the buyer's story are overwhelming again. We have these three green candles, but all of their movement is contained within that red candle. Then the following candle is going to be a red candle. It's going to eat up and erode all of those gains we just made. The bear market is back in session, and it shows that the bulls are there, but they don't have enough strength to reverse the trend, and the trend does continue. So basically, a sign of failed reversal there. Kind of like when we talked about setter steps to the upside or the downside. Kind of the same idea. We do have a little bit of momentum up, but the bears whacking it right back to the downside. Last but not least, we have the falling three. Now let's talk about the rising three. This is a bullish pattern. We're in a bull market. We're in a move to the upside. We have this big green candle, and then these smaller red candles, all of their movement, these three candles contained within the movement of the green candle, and they are followed by a nice green candle showing a resurgence for the bulls back to the upside, marching with the viciousness and showing that we did have some selling pressure, but the buyers have one out here, and we are seeing more movement to the upside. And I appreciate Sharif talking earlier too about, as a momentum trader, these patterns are key to look at because they can help you find rip shorts or dip buys.
Exactly.
Just areas where we might have some pressure that the trend's continuing, but you don't want to get at the top of the moment. This is how you might be able to find a better place to enter and join the trend without it pushing all the wind back into your face there.
There you go. Sorry about that. I should have been rising 3 methods. While we were talking, Adara, a news headline came in here that Nvidia, Microsoft, and Google, along with others, are partnering with the U.S. government on an AI research program. The headline reads as follows. The National Science Foundation, the NSF, announced on Wednesday that it's teaming up with some of the biggest names in tech to launch the National Artificial Intelligence Research Resource Pilot Program. It said it's designed to create national resources for researchers and educators to access high-powered AI technologies with the goal of ensuring the U.S. continues to lead in AI research. Companies and nonprofits joining in the 2-year pilot program consist of a murderer's row of some of the biggest names in AI. I've never said murderer's row, and I don't think I'm going to say it again. Anyway, Amazon, Anthropic, Hugging Face, IBM, Intel, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, OpenAI, Palantir, all involved here. The federal agencies participating in the effort include the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, the Department of Defense, Department of Energy, NASA, National Institute of Health, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the Department of Agriculture. So we'll see whether that ends up being a mover or not. Nvidia, I don't know if it's getting any support from this announcement, but it doesn't look like it needs any, retracing a little bit off that 628.5 high. I felt a little bad about myself having talked about that 196 short on Apple and not having taken it. It gave you 70 pennies to the downside when it came back down into that 195.25. Okay, so Apple's closing print on the day, or yesterday, excuse me, was 195.19. So we almost went red there on Apple, but yesterday's closing print ends up holding. That's the second time it's done today. This trough over here held yesterday's closing print, and this trough over here holds yesterday's closing print. We got a big move down on the future on the back of that 5-year note auction as it came in a little bit lower than where it was trading at. So the market didn't really like that, and we rejected 17,793, made our way all the way down to 17,741. We're still, we're not popping up, we're not moving down, we're still at 17,750 right now. So the market kind of like at an inflection point, bit of an indecision, as evidenced by this Doji candle here, which shows that the market is in an area of indecision. This is the Doji candle I'm talking about right now. I'm not going to take any trades at the moment. I don't see anything that I like personally on these, either in the future on these Mag 7 names. I'm still a little upset myself for not taking this 196 on Apple, but that's all right. The other trade that I've set up, though, Adara, is this EVAX trade. I mentioned this earlier. I've now set up a dip trade at $10.82. I'm not going to tell you why I chose 82, but I put it at $10.82. I'm looking to build a position near VWAP on EVAX as it is straddling and holding VWAP. This is a trade I call the VWAP hold high of daybreak. And yeah, you need to build your position close to VWAP for a test of high of day, or so the trade goes. So we'll have to wait and see if this can move down. It's quite a ways off it right now, trading at $11.50. We'll have to get down below $11 for my order to get filled. This other one, CCTG, this one started giving up the ghost, right? 1645 was a high. We tanked all the way back down to 1250. Now look at this. We're right back up again to 13.75. Hit it. Wayne, is there a new one? It's a double. Oh, we're $2 in the money, and by we, I'm talking about Sean on that coin short, baby. Continuing to do the dance with VWAP. I'm reloaded. Uh-oh. Can we show a screen? There he is. There's the VWAP trade, baby. The reloads on VWAP, the beak wetter there, the beak wetter towards the low. He just said he's going to get out soon. Might get out soon. Correction. Might be getting out soon. The Katina Man still holding that coin short off that 125 pop. Shout out to you, Katina Man. But this CCTJ coming into VWAP, a bit of a double bottom here, Adara, at 1250. It's a bit of a volatile one. And I can just tell by how the chart is moving that the spread is wide on CCTG. I said TJ. I meant TG. But let's see if this one can pop through. Whoa, there goes 14. So this one awfully volatile. So all my small cap traders, don't say I didn't bring you anything today. CCTG, it's moving. It's popping up.
Yeah, there's that CCTG chart is the type of chart I look at when I'm doing the small cap recap, and I'm kind of like, where will it go from here, right? Because I try to bring ones that are still kind of moving.
Right.
But I feel like, especially, I know what you look for in small caps as someone who trades small caps. I like to think, what could small cap traders benefit from if I showed them this chart, right? And I think that CCTG, you're right, is certainly at a pivotal point here, where it's kind of like, what's it going to do with its life? Is it going to go back below VWAP? What would it like to be when it grows up?
Right.
And so you think, just like, some food for thought as someone who looks at small caps in a bit more of an academic way, deciding which ones to bring to everybody. I do think that's one that I would kind of be like, making sure, because you don't want to bring like, hey, this small cap is moving and we're kind of more at the precipice, right? Maybe moving to the downside. And always, congrats again for Sean making some coin with coin, another member of the elusive, exclusive, although very inclusive also, Dollar Club there, Dollar Trade Club. Yeah, I think also I wanted to look at Boeing, for Mark Susi mentioning Boeing here. Nice move to the upside. We are, oh my gosh, this is a really nice look. Higher highs, higher lows. That bottom at I was mentioning the 2095 area earlier, swoop to the upside, did not look back once we hit it like the fourth or fifth time here. Really nice look. Looks like we are having a little bit of trouble grabbing that 216 with some vigor. Now falling a little bit to the downside, I would keep an eye out on that 215 area, because that was certainly an area at which there was some interest, and then to that 212.5, because that seemed to be a bit of an area here. Also, I had two trades that I got out of either while I was doing that lesson or right before, so I'll talk about them. Amazon, I did have to exit the jungle there. Expedited delivery out of this trade. I am not the Amazon whisperer. This might just not be my stock. I do find this stock a little bit hard to trade. Abby was talking, Abby, I just come on Amazon and Obi there. I'm so sorry. Obi was talking about with Amazon, like, how he was saying it's a trade that he likes to take, because he was talking with Wayne. Wayne saying, like, if you've been in a trade or you're familiar with the stock, you you're like a local, you understand how it moves. You know what I mean?
Was saying that?
Yeah, apparently. I thought that was a really nice analogy. That was what Obi was saying that he's kind of said. New segment, Dear Obi, Neil with the hot fire pun there.
Wainers, yeah. No, Greg is the one that came up with the name. Greg, God bless his soul, he's gone. No. And he used to call them Wainers. I heard him say Wainers. Wayne. He's right there, I can see him, but yeah. He's not, he is. He's at the door.
What is happening? Okay, I didn't mean to start this entire fight, but
is Greg okay? Sean asked.
Basically, I was just trying to say, I think this is, Obi knows Amazon, I don't. I accidentally started this entire debacle, and that's all I was trying to say. But yeah, I do not understand how the stock moves. I don't trade it very often. My plan was lower low, we get out. We broke that 158 low. I said au revoir, and I did exit this trade. Also, Lilly, though, I'm pretty happy with how Lilly went. And I have to admit, I have to be really honest with myself. This is something I'm going to have to, I don't want to be too hard on myself, right? But I do have to be like, Adara, that was below $1 million. You got involved in Lilly. Tisk, tisk, old man finger, for shame here. But it did end up going okay. But also, I don't want to be too proud of myself here, because I just shouldn't have gotten involved in the first place. Basically, I noticed that we had a really hard time at going below that 635, 75 area. That's where I ended up taking both of my beak wetters. Happy I got out there. We basically got out on this bottom wick here, and then now we're kind of getting back towards VWAP. Nice look for Eli Lilly, but we're not above $1 million, so I will not be getting involved again here. So it is Wayner, is what Neil's saying in the chat.
Apparently he's got the confirmation that it was the mad one, not Greg, but it was the mad one, Max, who came up with the name. I thought it was Greg. I mean, I don't know. That's what I only heard Greg saying it, but apparently it was.
Hi.
Max, say hi. Yeah, there he is. It was him who came up with that, not Greg.
Nice.
Adara, we have an interesting little trade here. Well, we're not in it yet, but on Apple, as we just touched the yesterday closing print again, I saw somebody there enthused that they were in an Apple short at the break of, I think, 195 and a quarter. I'm not going to get involved. I want to see a newer high. I'm looking for a possible hold here of 17.7 on the future and a possible making of a new high through this 195.50. If we get that, I'll be interested in an Apple long back into 196. I missed the 196 short, sadly, but yeah, we'll have to pack our patience there. But we seem to be getting a lot of support every time we come back into that 195.20 area, 195 and a quarter, which is yesterday's closing print on Apple. We do seem to find some support there every single time. Right now we have a bit of a hammer candle forming, but it is not closed at the moment. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see there. Also, with respect to Nvidia, it just dipped into 624, put in a green candle here. Let's see if we can start curling possibly back on Nvidia, maybe to touch 630 today, but I don't know. I mean, we had such a strong move today on the futures. To start the day off on the future, we were worrying the pre-market. Let's see. When I got in this morning, we were about 17,650, and then we had about a 150-point move into almost 17.8. So I don't know, how much more does this market have? How much more? You're like, do we have more strength to the upside? Looks like Softy and AMD may have more to say about that, but we'll wait and see. Let's check the small cap gappers. Did we get the fill yet? Yes, we did get the fill on EVAX at 1082, and we're right back into 11 and a quarter. So let's go ahead and have a look at EVAX now, small cap gapper du jour, and we only got a partial fill, sadly, there as evidenced by that baby blue triangle. So a bit of an area of illiquidity here on EVAX. Let's see if we can hold VWAP. The end of the trade for me is going to be the breaking of this low. So this right here, if it breaks down below that 1040, that's the end of the trade. It has to hold VWAP for this trade to be valid, in my opinion. Okay, now it could break VWAP. I could end up getting bamboozled and it could continue to run. Totally possible. But for me to stay in the trade, it's got to hold VWAP. What I'll be looking for specifically here for the breakout is that break of 12. Look how many times we've come into that $12 area only to find a rejection. We did initially here at around 10, 10.20, and then we did again at around 11.30, 11.40. Couldn't break through 12. So, you know, confirmation for me that the trade is going the right way will be the break of 12 and the making of a new local high, with obviously being the ultimate target, that 13 area, because that's where the closing prints are. On the 5-minute, forget about the wicks for a second on EVAX. Look at where the closing prints are. They're all at 13. But obviously, you know, I'd much rather have a 13 and 2/3 move. But now we're involved in EVAX. Let's see if we can hold VWAP.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's congrats on that trade. Also, I have to ask, did you choose the color for your triangle?
Yes.
Oh, I like that. Okay, because I was going to say that's not the same color as my PP blue triangle.
Well, some people have yellow for their partial fills.
Oh,
right?
I do that.
It's a partial fill. I didn't get the full fill there
okay.
because it was an area of illiquidity, right? So
yeah, that's true.
I got half the size I wanted.
Nice. Yeah, you get partially vaccinated here on EVAX. Sorry.
I like that. I think that's probably going to elicit a lot of chatter.
Yeah, I didn't mean.
As soon as we say vax.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I just saw EVAX, and I said a
What's
thing.
a pandemic play? Wasn't it? Wasn't it a vaccination play? I think.
It's cancer related. I know it's cancer related.
I remember Brendo saying it rung a bell for with respect to like back in the
yeah, I know he
in the
said
pandemic
it
days,
familiar,
right?
yeah.
It was one of those plays.
Also, I like Meta here. This bounce, like we were talking about candles. Look at we had this little dude. I guess this is a hammer candle near a downtrend, and then we see this big long tail, and then sellers, but then they're getting buyers getting in their way here. I do like the idea of going long here, taking out some profit here at this 396. Also, did you see what Fabian put in our chat?
No.
This is amazing. Trader TV Live bingo card. I'm going to full screen this and zoom in. I love this so much.
This is amazing.
This is so amazing. I think these are, I was just laughing like my head off looking at this. Really nice look.
Midday songbirds. I love it.
Yeah, there's so many things I didn't even realize that we
Sports
like do
talk,
that much. Yeah.
Wet my beak. Put it back. I'm reading it. Neil's quite frankly, I love it. This is amazing. Brendo's dropping world news. Dad talk. Adara Bun.
Technical difficulties.
Cat, like and subscribe. What's
Yeah,
that?
fabulous look there.
Hit it.
Hola, like and subscribe today.
But yeah, I enjoyed that, and I was like, you know,
I love that.
thank you very much. I saw that and was like, good times. I was laughing my head off over here. But yeah, so I think Meta also, though, seeming like it's having actually a harder time holding that long area that it might actually be doing. So we're gonna have to wait and see here. If we fail this, I'll short it. If we do not fail it, I will go long. But yeah, I just enjoyed that little bingo card there.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, maybe we'll actually play it one day.
I think you'd probably get, like, you could probably fill the card in a day depending on.
Yeah, like honestly, guy, because we all have our, little tendencies and sayings that we, so it wouldn't be too hard to fill that bad boy out. All right, so we've got the EVAX trade already. I gotta warn you about this though. If you're gonna get involved for an $11 name, it's awfully spready, and just by getting involved in this, you could get cut up. The cost of doing business, getting in and getting out of a trade, could be as large right now as it is 18 pennies right now is the spread on this. So multiply that by the amount of shares that you have, and if you had to get out immediately, that's how much you would lose. I've already got a beak weather there sitting at that sub $12 area. We're gonna have to readjust the amount of shares we want to take out at 12 bucks if it makes its way up there, because we only got a partial fill down here. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not we can make it back up to 12, but this is the setup I am looking for on this type of trade. The Katina man I want to mention while Adair was talking is now $3 in the money on that coin short. So if you're participating with him, he still hasn't wet his beak out on that last out there. He's still holding. Want to update you on that. Adara also on the future. The thing about this is we dipped down aggressively off that weak auction, but now looks like we're putting in a bit of a hammer candle here as the buyers said, no you don't. And they pushed it right back up that 17,718 bottom, and now we're right back at 17,750. So could we curl back up here? Or is this just kind of a dead cat bounce? And then we're going to continue to print lower, maybe touching 17.7. So we'll have to wait and see there. But we are at that 50-point level, and the futures are leading the way for some of these Mag 7 names, as Meta is now starting to curl back up, AAPL as well. Nvidia, like it needed any other reason to curl back up, it's curling back up now into the 627, awfully close to 627 there. And Google as well. Right back into that 149.5. But I want to say Google has been kind of the lamest of the bunch today, if I can say that. Anyway, that is the look there. Big Kyle Burdett. What's up, my man? I see that cat emoji. I hope you print, though, Kyle. Look, I know you're taking that bad boy short. Kyle was short up at the top there at 17,790. He wanted 400 points. He said to me, take it short with me. We'll take 400 points together. I said 400? That's a lot for one day trade, right? But yeah, it looks like the future's pumping back up now, 17,764. We're really moving up here. Trailed out, says Kyle. Well, I hope you printed on that nonetheless, because we're moving up aggressively right now on the futures. Let's see if we can make it back near high day at 17,793. But a good look there. Softy, awfully close to high day as well. Same thing with Meta. Those are the two, and obviously goes without saying Nvidia. So strong bunch right now.
Yeah, crazy look. I wanted to get involved in Meta. I really did miss my opportunity here. Also, West, y'all one saying beak wetter is a take profit order. Yes.
Yes.
So that's where
yes.
you take your.
We're wetting your beak.
You're wetting your beak, and I think what happened was I asked. I was like, so where do you set the beak wetters? And then this is kind of how that is now what they are, because yeah. So good times. So that is what that is when you have your little profit order set up to just kind of dip your little neck, your little beak. I guess beak. What am I saying? Neck. Yeah. You dip your beak into the water and you feast on some profits there.
And just so that people understand what we're talking about, we're not making stuff up. This is from The Godfather. And he said it twice. There's one in The Godfather 2 where it's said, and it's the flashback to when Vito Corleone was just coming from Italy, and it's like the early 1900s. And then there's one in The Godfather 3 when he meets with the commission and he bought Immobiliare, and he's like telling them, look, it's been nice knowing you, but I'm going into the legal business now and you guys can't come with me. And they're like, we want to do business with you, Michael. Let us wet our beak a little bit, right? And so that's what that is from there. We're not just making stuff up, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we love having a good time. Also, thank you so much to Lolo here. You're bossing it up. This segment is a hit. Well, thank you very much for your support. We're happy to have, a good time, hopefully make some good trades or at least learn from the trades we're making. Like I said, that the Eli Lilly, it was not at a milli. I should have been more careful. I just saw the setup I liked and dove in head first. I am happy with how this trade worked out because I was keeping an eye on the book and it ended up going out okay, but that doesn't mean that I can't hold myself accountable for entering below $1 million. So I just want, you know what I mean, trying to learn a little bit every day here on how to trade. Also, Meta, what are you doing with you? I don't think Meta knows what it wants to be when it grows up. Like I said, I'm trying to wait for Meta to slide into my DMs here, tell me in what direction it would like to move. Right now, it seems very confused. We go to 395, we'll go lower. Then we'll get a nice pop to the upside. I do want to be cognizant of that 395.40 area because that's where we did have some chop and turn earlier and then fell to the downside. I want to be really conscious of where we go from here. But I do think, if I can dip my toe in at 395, take some out at 395.40, and then save a piece. Oh, I like that.
Goodness gracious. There's like a beak-wetting mechanical toy. I mean,
yeah,
that's fantastic.
Loving it. Yeah, I really.
That's fantastic.
There we
right
go.
there.
This is your for the Nvidia trade
We
earlier.
need that right here. Put it right over here, like they have their bears over there. They got the bear. They got the bull. We need the beak wetter on this desk. Fabian, where did you find that? Can you send that to me, please, so that I can buy it and put it on the desk? Maybe we can get Brendo de Expensive. That'd be nice.
Right. They have the Bears versus Bulls. We're talking about the beaks. Also, lots to talk about Netflix. I think certainly one to look at. We did have. I had this one on my side chart, and then it kind of was not doing really enough for me because I do like trading Netflix from time to time. I think someone earlier, Lolo, I believe, was saying Netflix from that 553 to 555 has basically just been in and out, kind of rangy.
Yeah.
I would totally agree. I think that's a very nice call out. I didn't get involved in this just because I find it a little bit hard to read, but I think, not hard to read, but I guess it's kind of hard to get entry in here. But I think a really nice look. We did have this movement, lower highs, lower lows. Well, actually, more than just lower highs. We did have the dip below VWAP, came right back up, holding VWAP like a glove right now. I would just kind of repeating what Lolo was saying there, shout out to you. Really just super rangy within a very tight range. But, potentially for involvement, I will keep my eye on it, especially with that earnings news. Also, I will echo what you said about Google. I've just been noticing Google, because what is Google doing? We had this big move to the downside to the extent that apparently P-Pro 8 won't even show me the little move here on the chart.
Whoa.
This is my 5-minute chart. Let's see the 3-minute. But basically the point is, yeah. Oh.
What the world?
RIP those candles, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, big move down there. Really just kind of rough. We keep rejecting 1, 2, 3 times off that 149.40-ish area. Someone was saying here earlier, Netflix really hard to, not Netflix, the market really hard to read. Confusing market, there we go, Cameroon Chowdhury. So I totally agree here. Sam asking, I just tuned in, can someone please tell me if there's Fed news today? No Fed news today.
No.
But we do have some coming up. We have some quarter-over-quarter GDP growth coming tomorrow morning.
Prelim.
And then prelim. Thank you, appreciate that. Prelim, and
Which
then
is a
PC.
good guide, nonetheless.
Yeah, good guy, but I know. Thank you for clarifying the prelim because I always forget the way to word it with the GDP because there's so many caveats with all of these Fed news that we're always getting right. But then also we have PCE coming on Friday, and that is sometimes referred to as the Fed's preferred method for gauging inflation. So keep an eye on this.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Adair, and thank you for reminding me about GDP tomorrow. Look, GDP kind of fell by the wayside a little bit last year. We weren't covering it as much because we didn't really want GDP to continue to grow, because if GDP grew, then the Fed would have to continue to raise or stay elevated for longer. Now GDP more in focus this year as we try to stick that soft landing, right? We don't want too much economic contraction. We don't want too much slack in the job market. We want, like, you know, the Goldilocks kind of thing, not too hot, not too cold. So we'll have to wait and see what we get tomorrow. Again, it's the prelim number, but PCE, very important for inflation that comes out on Friday. I have my beef with PCE. I have my beef with CPI, especially currently, where a lot of the inflation that we continue to get is shelter inflation, rents and mortgages, for a number of reasons. And the problem with how rent and mortgage is calculated in PCE, in CPI, is it's like 12-month lagging, almost a year lagging behind. So when we experience shelter inflation now, it's not being factored in correctly, nor is it given the due weight in the calculation. How much money of your earnings do you spend on mortgage or rent? It's a high proportion for me, right? But it's only given, like, say 10% of the calculation. But the majority of my money that I make ends up going to paying my mortgage, paying my condo fees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You guys get it. But it's given such a small weighting in the actual calculation itself. So I have issues with CPI and PCE for those reasons, but it's the best gauge we have, and it's the one off which the Fed works. So, you know, I can rant and rave about it all I want. The point is they're going to continue to use it. So, yeah, sorry, preach. Sorry about that. I get a little excited, baby.
I think he said he agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you. Anyway, guys, we're kind of a little bit of an indecision right now on the future because we kind of popped down over here into 17,718, then popped right back up into 17,769. Now we're kind of like midway, just a smidge below that 50-point level, so I'm not really sure what to make or how we trend. We'll have to wait and see what the power hour brings and whether we continue to run up. We haven't made a lower low, so if you've been looking at this 5-minute look on the NQ, it's been higher low, higher low, higher low. Not necessarily the higher high that we wanted through the break of 17.8, but maybe that comes a little bit later on. We'll have to keep an eye on some of these Mag 7 names to see which one curls down. Apple's been really kind of flirting with that break-even point at 195.20. We've been bouncing off it every single time, but for how long? Especially in light of the fact that we've been putting in these lower highs on Apple. So the top there was 196 and a third, and then here we based out, say, at 196, 196.10, and then here we topped out at 195.74. So it's been lower highs with a flat bottom. What do we call that? A descending wedge on Apple. So we'll have to wait and see whether this 195 and 1/5 level can hold for the day, or whether maybe even the future pops back up. Maybe you get a nice dip trade for a long off that 195 and change. The trade that I'm in, though, is doing well, but you know, I didn't get the full size that I wanted. I got a partial fill, about half the size that I wanted. I put a light beak wetter up here to test the liquidity of this particular stock. This is for a very small amount of shares at this 1169 area, and then I'm looking to de-risk quite heavily right in front of 12. Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. One, it's a whole dollar level. Number two, there is a price action resistance there twice on the 1-minute chart. Firstly, at around 1020 to 1030, and then again between 1140 or to 1150. 12 was a resistance level on EVAX, up 125%. Small cap gapper du jour. The idea here is to take this trade called a VWAP hold high of daybreak, and it's basically a stock that moves up big, straddles VWAP, consolidates at VWAP or a little bit above, and then breaks or tests the high in the more liquid time of day at 2, 2:30, 3 o'clock time slot. And the technique here is to build up your position near VWAP for that test of high of day. But if it goes against me, Adara, and it may, the break of $10.40 is my out.
I like that, like very well planned, very well set up. Also, I have a question. So a light beak wetter, is that just you take less shares there? Is that what a light when you to the light?
A light beak wetter?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
okay.
The reason I got this beak wetter even right here, and I typically wouldn't because it's not at a level that interests me, is to test the liquidity, how illiquid or liquid is, because right now it's 11 pennies, right?
Okay.
Right. So I need to know. I need to test its liquidity to know, am I going to get out the lion's share of my of my position in front of 12. If not, if it doesn't fill easily for the small amount of shares, I need to be on guard for that.
I like that. Thank you for explaining that, because I think that's I think also something to keep in mind. Like I said, oddly enough, I think there is some kind of interesting relationship with these small caps and these mega caps, where in some ways they do kind of move similarly. And by that I mean spreads. By that I mean their reactions to certain catalysts. They tend to react to catalysts differently than some of these bellwether stocks might, where the bellwether stocks do require a bit of a stronger catalyst sometimes to get these big moves. I also am watching Tesla. Someone was mentioning here in the chat, I want to make sure I get the right name here. Someone was mentioning Tesla testing this 210 area. Again, yes, Slav Paradise saying testing for a fourth time this 210. I think this 210 break could be interesting. We have generally had, the last time we tested 210, we did come back with a lower high. Maybe I can short this. I'd probably take some profit out of that 209.60. The rest at this 209, I guess around 209. One of the things though I do have noticed, I'm trying to get more confident in areas where I think there may be a break in either direction, where I find I tend to get involved only after the break has actually occurred. And in that case, you're not getting any movement, right? I think being more confident and saying, hey, this break might occur, and having a plan to exit if it doesn't work out how you thought you will, right? Like as Sean says, scared trader is an efficient trader. And I think this way of thinking, this method of thinking has certainly been maybe, you know, a bit of a deficiency for me, where I don't get involved until after the movement I have, or the movement I want. And by that point, it's a little too late. So I think that's certainly something to keep an eye on. Someone, I believe, Jacqueline in the chat mentioning what's going on with Tesla. Tesla earnings tonight, but also we did have with Tesla this report from Reuters saying that there is a plan to launch its budget model electric vehicle, which has been codenamed Redwood, production starting, it said by mid-2025, and you know, will be interesting with regards to these sub $30,000 EVs on the markets. That could be very much a big move for Tesla to compete with some of these other EV companies. Also, yeah, I really did miss this break on Tesla. We did have the decisive break below 210. I was also watching Meta. Also should have gotten involved before the break happened. I liked that 394.50 break. By the time I was ready to get involved, we had this big swoop to the downside. Massive move down here. Amazon also continuing to kind of have these stutter steps to the downside. Move off VWAP and then continuing to push down. I got involved in this as a long briefly because I like these lower highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and then we fell to the downside. A Rob EV saying when Elon says mid-2025, that'll be 2027 then. We'll have to see.
He's got a reputation for doing that.
That is true.
He always over-promises, or like, you know, his timeline's a little bit skewed too.
And you know, he's very like blunt though when things are going like that earnings call for Q3 2023, certainly interesting, where he was just kind of like, yeah, I don't really know, things are happening. He was very upfront about it.
You remember that? Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, and the stock like 10% to the downside after that. And it's really funny because like one of my friends, when I said like, oh hey, this is like the job I'm doing, she's like, oh, so is that like basically if Elon says something and Tesla goes down, like is that what? So it's funny, that was her first kind of
yeah, but he
reaction.
does affect it. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is I think it's interesting is like, you know, that was kind of her first assumption, like, oh, that's, you know, and that does happen, and that's certainly what happened with Tesla earnings last time. And I think at least from my understanding of last earnings, because I was here for the last Tesla earnings, crazy to think I'm on earnings cycle number 2, which I think has been pretty cool, is that I think the earnings call may be more important to keep an eye on in some extent than the numbers itself. We'll really have to see what Elon says. Also, there is a super chat that I think maybe you should be reading.
Big Kyle Burdett, my man, 199 super chat. Dump it, baby, dump it. Plan your trade, trade your plan. Shout out to you, Kyle. I know you were holding that short off that 17,793 touch. I think you got trailed out, but looks like you had the vigor to get back in. I was going to use a different word there, but I held myself. To get back in on that short. But I got to say, keep your eye on 17.7, because we know how the 100 points are on the future. And right now, it looks like we are getting a possible 17.7 bounce. We'll have to see if it's a sustained bounce or it's just a quick, you know, hey, nice to see you, 17.7, but I'll smell you later kind of thing. 17.7 and VWAP not far off each other. Look where VWAP is on my chart, 17.704, and then you have the 100-point level. So there is some confluence between those two levels at the moment. Let's see if they end up holding this market at at 1%, because that's where we are right now. And on the NQ, we're up 1%. We were almost up at 2 when we were 17,793. Let's see if we continue to flush here on the future. But nonetheless, good trade for you, Kyle. The other one that I want to talk about, how many times is Apple going to bounce off that 195 and a quarter? It's stagnating around there. The reason I'm not, punching long with enthusiasm is because of these lower highs. And they concern me a little bit because I kind of feel it might be setting up for a descending triangle flat bottom break as we see this. Obviously, this is the crest over here at 196.30. And then we have a 196 crest over here. And then we have a 195 and 3/4 crest. So all the while, still hovering around the same type of low. No newer low, right? Generally, that same area, 195 and a third, 195 and a quarter. Yeah, so maybe if we get a decided break through the close of yesterday on Apple, then that would be my signal to get in. But we'll have to wait and see what these futures decide to do. Let's go have a look now at our other trade there, EVAX. We're nicely in the money on it, but it's not breaking up through that $11 and let's just say a third area, okay? And 2/3, excuse me. 11 and 2/3. There is a bit of a top there, a consolidation top through there. This beak wetter is a test. I just finished explaining that before I used it in the bathroom, but this is where I really look to de-risk right in front of 12 on EVAX.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Apple, so while you were speaking about Apple, I realized, so I meant to get involved in this earlier just because I was trying to kind of take that 20 penny-ish movement up to 195.50. I thought I had canceled this order. Turns out I had not. That being said, I think this trade is still valid. I'm definitely getting out if we kind of break out of this consolidation range. So decisive break into that 195, out 120, heading towards 195.10. That's when I will get kind of nervous here. Very teeny tiny position. If we can get that 195.50 touch, I have my beak wetter set at 195.49 because sometimes you like to get a couple pennies below where you want to get into because the stock will sometimes struggle with these like decisive levels like the 50-cent breaks, the dollar breaks, and I think it's just nice to be cognizant of those levels with that in mind. We will have to see. I do agree with what you said with these lower highs, kind of making lower lows here. So a little bit of a dicey trade. I can't even call this a fat finger. I would just call this a slow brain trade, a slow brain move. I really should double check to make sure I canceled this order. Alas, I did not. But
alas,
we're still, like I said, we're still within my realm of validity here. So we're gonna have to see what happens here. But as we break below that 195.20, I'm like, the apple's getting a little bit sour. Rotten apple while I'm in this trade. We might have to call this.
Did I ask you this week about your writing?
I think last week maybe. I don't
asked you last week,
remember.
right?
Yeah.
How'd it go?
Thank you. Yeah.
Did you go back to TIFF Lightbox?
No, this week I rested. I did sleep for 20 hours, unfortunately, as I collectively through the
yeah.
So basically, about half the weekend I was in dreamland. But yeah, I
literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just trying to, I did some writing last night, did some, preparation for project, because a lot of writing is not doing the thing, it's preparing to do the thing.
Interesting, what does that mean?
So yeah, it's like before you write, like at least before I like to write a script, you have to get the world ready. You have to get all of the characters ready and figure out how they're all hanging out and chilling with each other. Thank you for the bang buttons from, I think, Fabian or Remy.
I think that's a Chilean nightmare.
Thank you very much, yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing right now, preparing the little world to go out. But yeah, it's like definitely, like I said, always inspired by trading and trying to see what happens there.
Do you have a writing setup like your trading setup? Like, is there a certain, do you type or do you write?
I type, but sometimes I take notes by hand. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I want to know if there was anything that got the creative juices flowing, so to speak.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I think I like typing. I like to have kind of a different playlist depending on what I'm writing or what kind of mood I'm in. Music is very huge for me. Yeah.
Well, I could have told you that. Yeah.
Like you're like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, Dara knows. Like she punches outside of her weight class with respect to music knowledge historically, way before her time. Yet she still knows about it. So shout out to her. Bye Apple says parabolic something or another. Let's have a look at what Apple is doing? Yes, you are right. So looks like we did touch and that closing print from yesterday on AAPL as the future did dip below 17.7, albeit for the moment it's above it now. So do we start getting the wick dance, the wick shimmy dance right at 17.7 here, or are we gonna give up the ghost on 17.7 on the future? But Apple did come in to a local low. It's not the low of the day. The low of the day was the touch on the pivot being the dotted green line on my chart. But we did come right into that 195.18, which is the closing print from yesterday. If you know me, you know how much I cherish closing prints as support and resistance levels. And right now, Apple's kind of proven my point in spades, because every time it comes to around that level, it does seem to find some buyers. But for how long? That's really the question here. So I'm not involved in any Mag 7 trades at the moment. We were involved in the future earlier. We were involved in Nvidia. Now we are going back to our stomping grounds on the small cap gappers, and we've got EVAX long at 1080. We literally did get bottom wick. We have a beak wet tester over here at 1169 to see what the liquidity is like on this name. Is it illiquid? Is it liquid, or somewhere in between? The reason being, I plan on taking the lion's share of the position in front of that $12 level, and I want to see how 69s are gonna, how the fill will react with my beak wetter at 69s there. So we got a couple of beak wetters on this bad boy, but it is making me really wait here. And there's a long consolidation top and a long consolidation bottom here. And it really hasn't had the ability to break through or break down below that consolidation range, at least since around 1240 or so. So we're almost going on an hour and 10 minutes of this range. But that's to be expected, because the whole point of this trade is a break during the more liquid time of the day. And the liquid time of the day, you know, obviously everybody knows, is the morning, and it is the closing. Something's wrong with my headset here. The closing, the power hour. Okay, so we did get that print at 69s, and it did fill quite simply. There was not an issue with that fill, so we should be good for liquidity. Let's see now if we can move into 12. We're at 11.75. We're almost $1 in the money on this EVAX trade. Let's see if we can get that 12 print. It is starting to move up a bit, up 135%, guys. Nothing to sneeze at, and it has been holding VWAP the entirety of the morning. And here we go into 85s. We're really moving here on EVAX now. Can we get that 12 print? We're sitting there, and there goes the 12 print there on EVAX, and there is the end of my trade there. It looks like it's going to halt to the high side. Let's see there. So I'm out. I'm out of the entire thing. It looks like it's going to halt right here at 1276. And come on, halt. No, fake halt. Right back down. Thankful I got out there at 1280. Wow, what a nice trade that was.
Congrats.
Yeah, I told you this VWAP high daybreak.
You called it.
It typically works. It does typically work. It fails. I mean, like everything else in trading, there's a lot of failure in it. But that was a nice trade there. $2 at the top there. We got long 1080. We took it out at 1280. Please, this punch.
Yeah, they always pleased as punch over here with that punch out.
Look at it come down.
Whew.
No, Chilean Nightmare, come back to this. Look at it absolutely tank off that high. Thankfully, got out there, hit the flatten button, because this is bamboozlement central. Look at it coming into my entry. Now, I just got to make sure that I don't have the order out, because we only got partially filled, hence why this is not green, it's baby blue. And so we were only able to take out, or only able to get in, half the position. I was worried that there would be the order out to get filled again, and I don't want to get filled after it rejected that move. Wow, this is why small cap gappers are what they are. They're bamboozling. In a second, it just switched the script on you and dropped $2, just like that. Nuts.
That's an amazing.
I'm not getting back in past overdose. No.
I was gonna say, yeah, that'd be scary. You killed it though. Congrats on that trade.
It's a good trade.
Yeah, like you said, old stomping ground. You know how these move, and you were like letting it talk to you, letting it whisper, and then you got into that
the
evac.
Small cap whisperer. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean the Amazonian, the small cap whisperer. But yeah, so also I did leave Apple. I exited the Big Apple and returned to reality. The thing is too, I know like Neil does say, and this is a conversation too, I believe in the chat, someone saying like, Neil always says if you have a fat finger in a move, just get out of the trade immediately. That's what I should have done. But the thing is too, I think part of why I stayed was I did initially like this. It was just an issue of I really should have canceled the order properly. And that's why I stayed in. We lost about 10 paper pennies here. And also the other thing, it was a really small share size. That being said, really should have gotten in immediately. Being more cognizant is what I need to work on. Proofreading those trades, like I said, I do a lot of typo trades. Proofread those trades. Make sure you are getting what you want to out of the move. And I think really important here. Also, yeah, so Sally Wong was asking, how do you sleep 20 hours straight? I should have clarified, 20 hours total throughout the weekend,
Yeah,
10
I
hours
figured,
a night,
yeah.
and then lots of naps in between there too, unfortunately. But yeah, because I feel like that does
But
sound
I know
like
you don't like to take naps. Like
No.
you're very like strict with
I
your
can't,
nap
yeah,
taking.
because if I take naps, I will just fall asleep for indefinite periods of time, hence the whole 20-hour thing. But yeah, and I think too, I have a thing where it's like if I don't have caffeine after work, I will nap, and it will be bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even feel caffeine
Will you
that much.
sleep
It's
the
mostly
next day?
placebo.
For the next day?
I can. Like if I nap, well, it's
Wow.
like I can nap for it'll last like 4 hours, and then I wake up and it's like 11 p.m. and I'm like, I don't want to go to bed now. Like.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
hear ya.
so
I hear
anyways, moral of that story there. Yeah, Mr. Memesick, paper pennies. Yeah, I mean, I want to clarify it is a paper trade, so paper pennies only here.
Patrick says naps are awesome. And I would have
that.
to agree with that. Definitely. Also, by the way, Violet Summer, that's why I love to scalp small cap. Shout out to you, Violet. They can be rewarding, but as you know, I'm pretty sure you know this if you're into the small cap world, they can be bamboozling as well. And sometimes you want to, at least I'm just speaking for myself, throw something at the computer because they are easily to manipulate. And just by the way, EVAX, for anybody who's wondering, you guys can go to the screen. EVAX is the float. I'm going to talk a little bit about the float so we can know the characteristics. Not small, 21.2 million share float. So not huge, but not small either, like some of these micro caps. And with respect to the short float, let's find out if there is a short float to be had on this bad boy. No, it's negligible, 0.82%. So not much in the way of a short float there. What else is being talked about here? So right now, Adara, sorry to kind of interrupt there, but that 17.7, believe it or not, is actually holding up again.
Woo.
Yeah. So, looks like we might be bound by the 100-point range, 17.8 to the top, 17.7 to the bottom. We'll have to wait and see if the 17.7 level can hold when the big kahunas take over in about 5 minutes or so. We'll have to see what power hour brings for the Mag 7 in the futures, but we did real well today. I'm going to say up over 1%. We were up almost 2% at the highs today on the NQ. You have Netflix absolutely flying. Nvidia is at all-time highs. Meta is at all-time highs. Apple maybe all-time highs soon. I've been talking to Neil about this. I talked to Brendo about this. I've been saying looks like Apple's accumulating for a 200 break. Where do we see that before? We saw that on Nvidia at 500. Remember, we were touching 500 in the summer. We touched it in the fall, and then we got a decided break of it not that long ago. And now we're looking at 500 in the rearview mirror like it didn't even matter. $630 we got up to today, or thereabouts, Adara. So we'll have to see what we get there. But yeah, the Mag 7 all curling a little bit down now, except Nvidia, right back up into 625.
Yeah, Nvidia's like, what direction is down? I don't know that. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to
Clearly.
see. The chips will fall where they may.
Yep.
So we're gonna have to see what happens to these some of these chip names here. Those AMD, Nvidia, Intel earnings after close on Thursday. So certainly one to keep an eye out for. And then we have AMD next week. So lots of earnings on the horizon here for these mega caps. Also, I pulled up your favorite stock here because Adam Hamoud was asking, what about Plug Power? So I had to. Sorry, I had to pull up Plug Power here. We did have a downgrade from, I believe, BMO Capital Markets, but I would like to be clear before I make that assertion. Thank you. Yeah, it was BMO Capital, but we did have six other price target decreases for Plug Power. Getting unplugged here today, very much to the downside. We had a really strange spike around 805, 810, and then fell right back down. higher, low, lower, high, swooping to the downside here. Now we're at this 350. So I would say, what about plug power, Adam? The only thing I have to say, it is very much to the downside. I wish I could, you know, I'll look at the daily here too, but I have to say it is a bit of a rough look here. We, this gap up yesterday certainly significant, and look where we fell though. Actually, too. This is a nice look on the daily. November 13th. No, it did not have a November to remember. November 13th bounce at this 340 area. We bounce again November 28th. Look, we're coming back to that 340. 340. Interestingly enough, kind of an area of support here, so I would be cognizant of that level, Adam. That is what I have to say about plug power. But yeah, right now, really, really hard stock to read, other than general movement to the downside, and 7 analysts making that feeling very clear this morning. So I would take that how you will.
Doesn't rival the 20 some odd analysts that spoke about Netflix today.
Netflix, Sharif was like, do you want to count, like, for upgrades and downgrades, should I count how many Netflix analysts are saying positive things? I was like, sure.
And
you were like 20.
Them.
We did sat there.
I'm just going to show this real quick here. We're not supposed to show this here, but look at this, guys. Look at this. These are all the comments on Netflix. These are all the analysts having their say. And then an individual by the name of Mike Benedetto. Netflix is going to 0? Really? Why do you feel that way? 270 million subs not enough for you? Neil says, I'll take that bet. Yeah, look, I don't mean to call you out, but I really don't think it's going to 0, my friend. Well, at least not anytime soon. Let's see. Have you been watching anything special on Netflix that you want to let anybody know about?
Oh,
I've been people know about The Captains a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I've been rewatching the Office a little bit, here and there, little bit of you know, some of the Spanish soap operas I watch sometimes. Been going back through some of those on Netflix, but mostly, honestly, I've been in kind of a Criminal Minds kick lately on Disney+.
You love your criminal dramas.
I do. Oh my God, my Midsummer Murders, my British ones, Vera. I love Midsummer Murders. Season 24, I believe, just finished there. So those British shows will run for as long as they want to run. But yeah, massive crime person. What about you?
I'm still watching Young Sheldon. Don't at me.
Why did I ask?
Yeah. I don't know. I just like it. I've got so into the Big Bang Theory. Yeah. So, you know, it's the prequel to the Big Bang Theory. Is it? Like, that's what it kind of is, right?
It's Young Sheldon.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, we are about 1 minute left on the show, and I want to just tell you about this EVAX trade because we took it, we did it well, but look at it breaking down now. The bamboozlement is real, and it's fast and it's furious. So why am I telling you all this? Use resting profit takers. Guys, I mean, I'm old. I got old man hands. You may be quicker than me, but I don't know if you're going to be quicker than the algo, right? So have those profit takers ready to take profits at your key levels if you're in these small cap gappers, especially if you're in a name as volatile as EVAX. Adair, I'll send it to you so you can send it to Brenda.
Yeah, of course. So we will send it over soon. Also, some people asking, where will Tesla go from here? This double bottom off that 209, really strong. Like we had it once, swoop to the upside. We had it twice. We do still have lower highs, so I'd be cognizant of that. Like I said, Tesla around that 210, 211, 30 area. Super important, something to keep an eye on. But it is 2 p.m. now, so we will send you back off to the big desk. We'll be back tomorrow, same bat time and the same bat channel. But for now, Brendan is in fact at the big desk.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome in. 2 o'clock on busy afternoon here as we get